Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I will be your friendly Fate Weaver today, because today we were going to be carrying on with our scheduled campaign playing Call of Cthulhu, Pulp Cthulhu, the Cold Fire Within. Unfortunately, we had two players who were out of town, and then we had another player who got suddenly sick at the last minute, and rather than having to catch up a bunch of players, we decided to take the evening to return to a new channel favorite, which is Ryan Vernier's very cool Blackbirds RPG. And this is in preparation for our upcoming holiday event. I've mentioned a couple of times on, I think on the Discord and maybe on Twitter as well, but this year over the holiday season, we'll be playing a series of adventures using Blackbirds that we're calling the Blackbirds of Yule. It will be running from December 21st up until January 1st, not like straight, but throughout that time we'll be playing a bunch of adventures, and this is really, apart from one catch-up session we're doing, this is the only thing we'll be playing. All the players on the channel have got either, if it has been released in their country, they now have copies of Blackbirds, or they will be receiving them very shortly. Yeah, let me first introduce you. So if you were planning on attending the Call of Cthulhu game, I do apologize that we're not going to be able to play that tonight, but we hope you enjoy getting to meet the two Blackbirds that we will be creating tonight. And with that in mind, let me introduce you to the stars of tonight's session. I'll go the order I got you guys on the screen here. I think it's going to be very simple. The game's only been out for about a month or so, and Sean is one of the only two players who has actually played it with me so far. So I won't ask what the experience is with it. What I will ask is if you guys have any experience with any other of the Powered by Zweihander games, because this is a third. There's the original Zweihander game, which was revised recently. There was a starter set put out for it. There's Flames of Freedom, which we started playing a fair bit on the channel as well, which is a Revolutionary War American Gothic horror game, and there's this one. So first up, we've got Sean.
So I played Zweihander with you, Kevin, like maybe a one-shot or a three-shot, something like that.
Like 3 or 4 sessions of it.
Yeah. And have not played Flames, and played this the one time with you. So that's my experience. I don't think I've played Zweihander otherwise. The only other game I might have played Zweihander once before, something in a one shot, but that could go either way, and it had been a long time ago. Mm-hmm. So that's my experience.
And this one was, I'll move this down here, and I'll make the Blackbirds logo a little bigger. I will say that one shot was I really enjoyed reading the game too, but the one shot we played was the reason that everyone got Blackbirds for Christmas for me. Yes, it was a really good game. And then joining us as well is Gary.
Hi, everybody. I actually have never played a Warhammer or Zweihander game, so I'm kind of excited to do that. And as a younger person, I remember coming across my first Warhammer fantasy game and going, oh, Ratcatcher, and I was always kind of fascinated with that kind of world. And so, but at that time, the books like that just weren't that available as they are now. So I never did play it, but I was always excited by it. And as I kind of mentioned prior to this, I did do an interview with Ryan, the creator, at Gen Con. Seems like a really cool dude, and his background was in video games, and you can see it in the style of the book and just like the artwork, and just incredible kind of feel to it. So I'm excited to get into it.
That's overwhelming. The response that everyone's had as they've been coming in is like, I can't believe how beautiful this book is. And it really is. A gorgeously designed book. Even the pictures don't do the cover justice in daylight. The cover actually glows at certain angles because it catches the metallic stuff. It's a very, very cool thing. But the presentation is not the only thing that's great about the game. To give you context, and forgive me, Sean, for you've heard this before, but for Gary, the setting of Blackbirds is it takes, actually, I'll reread that little blurb that they put in here, because I think they do a good job of trying to, show their influences when they talk about it. So there's a subsection this is on page 5 of the CRB, a darker, grittier fantasy. The subgenres of fantasy can be challenging to chart, a labyrinth of interlocking ideas more incestuous than a pedigreed royal family. Blackbirds is a darker, grittier fantasy and can be summarized as an alchemical reduction of 3 literary styles of fiction: low fantasy, epic fantasy and grimdark fantasy. The dead rise, magic is real, and a concealed dagger is as deadly as a polished longsword. Nobility and morality are in no way related. Every battle is a matter of life and death. Very little is guaranteed, especially the lives of the characters we like. But there are romantic elements, and a doomed world may also be beautiful, permeated as it is with melancholic charm. The kind of default setting of the game is a place called the Carcass Nations. It has been... Oh, where's my... I bet you I got my little cheat sheet here. All the thing. The neat thing is, one of the things I spoke to Ryan after our last session. One of the things he had said was that there was, if he'd had his druthers, this would have been a 1,000-page book instead of a 700-page book, because there's 300 pages more of material that they can't wait to get out. And they posted, there is going to be more stuff coming out for it, because they shared on Twitter this past week or the week before art from a new cover. Still not announced yet, but that looks pretty cool. But in the introductory session or section of the book, they give you an idea of what the setting is. This is 12 years after a republic that has lasted for 1,000 years fell into what's called the War of Empty Thrones. All these interdecine nations that had all their struggles and whatnot and intrigues all sort of fell into war. And then 2 years ago is when the sort of the driving personalities behind that conflict, the conspiracy, a group that's just roughly referred to as the oligarchs, they stormed heaven, killed the gods, and took their power. And where the core rule book starts off, this is as things are sort of going to pot in the world. You're seeing the ramifications of what's happened, and there's a ton of interesting things happening all over the section of the world you get to see. And the gods, the oligarchs are gestating. They're sort of like going through this corrupted process of apotheosis, becoming gods, because mortals can't handle that kind of power, mentally, physically, spiritually, at all. And the neat thing is they give you only a handful of the oligarchs information about some of the ones in it, but they give you. In their descriptions, they talk about what happens if the oligarch dies. So, like, if the oligarch of beauty dies, and like people can't taste food anymore, and whatever else, like all these horrible things. But they're always ended with unless someone does something. And the thing I like about that, and the way that the name Blackbirds comes from, the idea that after the gods were killed, there was a tree, Yggdrasil, that the oligarchs climbed to get into heaven. I think it's a metaphorical climbing, but they got up into there, and then in the eaves of Yggdrasil there were ravens, and at the foot of Yggdrasil is where the Norns lived. The Norns were the last gods that were killed, and when they died, the ashes or embers of fate went flying off in every direction, like birds scattering from a falling tree. And that's where the word Blackbirds gets, because your characters in this, the Blackbirds, they have a little element of fate lodged in them. So the game is set in an extremely gritty, dark world like, Warhammer Fantasy or whatnot, but there is an element of hope in it. Not only in the way of like potentially having a different outcome, likely at great sacrifice for, facing the oligarchs. It's not an impossible and unwinnable war, just one at great cost. And your characters, it's a justification for the narrative metacurrency that you gain access to allow your characters to, to sort of do things that other characters in the otherwise gritty and dark setting would not be capable of. It's why you excel and why you survive. I think it's a really clever conceit, because it gives a really interesting way of having your cake and eating it too, where it's extremely dark and gritty and dangerous, but you're also, unplanned agents of fate. Which is a really cool way of setting up the thing. And then there are non-humans in the setting as well, too, that are extremely evocative. There's a version of elves, there's a version of dwarves, there's a version of tieflings, there's a version of half-giants. But I think for the one thing they say is that, the best thing to focus on at first is just the humans. And I think that's what I want to do for the Blackbirds of Yule, because there is still a huge amount of variety in what you can do and what you can play in with the humans. We'll see if I'm proven wrong, but you guys can tell me after you go through the process of character generation. So that's what Blackbirds is. It is a dark fantasy that has a what would I say, a mournful tinge of hope that's infused in it, and I just find that an extremely interesting game. It also, the character's stats you're going to play, there are things that not only your stats and your abilities have that are definitely a cut above what like the average Warhammer Fantasy character could do, or something like that, or even this Zweihander character for that matter. The characters are definitely big heroes, and you can use fate in a way in this that you can't in some of those other games to specifically alter things. Like they, in addition to like getting to re-roll stuff and whatnot, one of the things you can do with your narrative metacurrency is your fortune is to draw on one of the three norns to change the past, change the present, or learn something about the future, which I think, again, really fucking cool mechanic, and a good, interesting way of having the characters interact with the story, but also extremely thematic. So that's Blackbirds. But I'll keep talking about it. We want to make some characters, so let's talk about what characters are in this. So, I think we'll stick with humans if you guys are okay with that. Since neither of you have really dived into. Oh, I'm not sure. Sean, have you taken a dive into the book yet, or are you?
I had a. Let's see. He has a certain name to him, right? It was Ferricus Kazal.
Yeah.
Nephile. He was Nephile. No, Nephile is. It says it's a social class. Nephilim, social class.
Yeah. Well, because there isn't a race. Yeah, we're using. So we're going to be using the Zweihander sheet. There isn't a sheet for Blackbirds yet, unless unless things changed since last week. Let me double check here.
Oh, I see. So Nephilim is a.
Yeah.
That is an ancestry.
Yeah, so Nephilim is the Blackbird's equivalent of a tiefling, and what it is basically, rather than tieflings are like, at some point in the D&D lore, generally they are like descended from people who made pacts with or interbred with demons or devils or something like that, and their physiology and their magical abilities are connected to that. Nephilim are different in this because instead of just being descended from it, you are descended from ancient mages who made pacts with outsiders. And with the collapsing of the death of the gods and the collapsing sort of the barriers between the mortal world and the odd, the place of magic and whatnot, outsiders are able to call in those debts, even though they've come down the generations, to reach these people. So they have some unusual traits depending on what court of the outsiders they're associated with, but they also have a debt to pay depending on the court. That's why Ferricus had to do some strange things like burn a book or like eat a scroll or do other break someone's glasses at different times. His whoever was whispering to him. The reason I'm thinking we stick with the humans also is they actually have advice in it for which ones are like the impact on play. So like on page 42. Humans have impact on play, none. Ice, the elf, impact on roleplay, high. Impact on roleplay for the diamond, the dwarves, moderate. Jotunkind, moderate. Nephilim, moderate. The other reason, you guys get fate as humans, and the only other one who can earn fate is the diamond and I think the ice. Can they earn? Maybe it's only the diamond. Anyway, so then, if you haven't had a chance to get into it, let's start with human, and then we'll go from there if we want to. Sure. So, first thing we think of is what kind of character you want to play. The setting we're make your characters for is. Let me see here. Did I load a map the last time? I did. Look at that. Good job, Kev, from 2 weeks ago. So this is the lands of Erebos. It's
a cool map.
It's a really cool map, yeah. And then this is Elkland. Elkland, the thing that's interesting about Elkland is that it has been engaged in a civil war for the past about 12 years. And it's between King Vult and Grand Duke Noels. And It's sort of like a microcosm or a smaller scale version of the 30 Years' War, where it's just been like people have been turning sides and whatnot. So it is a ripe place for Blackbirds and for adventurers to suddenly find a way to make their fortune or find their fate or whatnot. It'll be somewhere in the land of Elkland that I think your characters will come from, but you're free to come from elsewhere. If you got a sense of like what I think we could do is talk a little bit. If you got a type of character you're interested in playing, like if you look at the paths, which start on page 77. There are, I believe, 5. Path of the Bow and Blade. Maybe there's 6. Path of Charm and Manipulation. Path of Craft and Expertise. The Path of Odd and Ritual. The Path of Shadow and Subterfuge. So those 5. So Bow and Blade, Charm and Manipulation, Craft and Expertise, Odd and Ritual, Shadow and Subterfuge. Like in Zweihander or Flames of Freedom, experience in this game goes by tiers. You start as a first tier character, a basic tier, then intermediate tier or second tier, and then master tier or third tier. In this game, rather than going between different professions, what you do is either continue progressing along your path, or you can branch out and take into other paths. The paths dictate what you have access to as far as talents and techniques are concerned. Talents and techniques are two different. One of the things you do in the game is you're able to slot stuff into your character. If we were playing in person, or if there was a way of doing it on the character sheet, you could picture that there are different things you can slot into your character when you do either what's called a rekindling, if you're taking a long rest once a day, or when you spend a fortune point. You spend a fortune point to swap out one thing, put something else in. A talent is something that gives a persisting bonus. It changes some aspect about your character, so you can do something or whatever. A technique will give you 3 actions generally, one of which is what's called an extinguish action. It's a big finale thing that has usually a huge impact, and then once you do that, you would flip over the card to represent that you've extinguished it. You can't use that slot again until you get a rekindling, until you have an opportunity to catch your breath and recover. The path that you're on will dictate what things you are eligible for, and then how far along will also affect it. So if you decide to play a character who dabbles, you're going to have a lot of variety for selection of paths or talents and techniques, but you're going to be restricted to the lower level requirements. Whereas if you focus on one path along the way, you will eventually gain access to much more powerful and potent things that are that reward that kind of focus. For starting characters, really, it's just, if you want to play a character who is, fighty and stabby, bow and blade. If you want to play someone who's sneaky and thieving kind of stuff, shadow and subterfuge. If you want to play a spellcaster, odd and ritual is the one you go. If you want to play a character who is a lay healer or sages or artisans, path of craft and expertise is a good option, and that comes into play a lot. There's some really good versatile and manageable, not versatile, but manageable and interesting equipment deterioration rules in this. And the craft characters and healing characters have a lot of opportunities to shine for that. And then there's charm and manipulation. If you want to play a chatty type, that's what you do. All the characters are still, because your stats are relatively high and you default to your combat stats, you're still going to be able to play a fighty character. And you can, there are techniques that are not restricted to specific paths that are related to weapons. Every weapon in the game has a specific technique associated with it, and you can learn those. The requirements to learn those is generally proficiency in them. So you have to spend some points to get skills in them, which can be more expensive if it's not something that's like favored by your by your path. So that allows, like last time, Sean, the reason your character didn't have quite as many, obvious tricks in combat is partly because you weren't bow and blade, and partly because I didn't give you any Jeff's character had taken one of the techniques for using longsword. If I had taken the dagger one, I'd have to give you the skill in that as well. But if I'd taken the dagger one, then you may have had access to a different set of techniques. So, which is to say, all characters fighting is something that everyone's going to be reasonably good at in the game. It's just the techniques are the things that really allow you to do different different actual actions in combat. In addition to having there was a technique that Jeff made really good use of last time that allowed him to basically have unlimited defenses. Because the action economy in this game is such that you start your turn, you have 3 action points, but you have to, those don't refresh until the start of your next turn, and you need to be able to, you need to spend 1 to do defenses as well. So if you want to be fully defensive, what his ability allowed him to do is spend 1 action point and do as many defenses. So he was able to stand against a whole shit ton of wolves and just and fight him back.
That was a good one, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So as the first thing is, let's talk about character concept. What kind of characters would interest you in playing? You guys want to play chatty types? Or are you playing fighty types? Roguish types?
I'd be happy with either the Shadow and Subterfuge or the stabby Path of Bow and Blade. Sean, if you have a preference, I'd be happy to defer my choice for that.
You should go ahead, because I don't have I'm still mulling, so you'll just help. You won't hurt me. You'll help
Sean
me
is what's known as a
choice.
deliberative player. So
I always like a thief, so let's go with Shadow and Subterfuge.
Nice, okay. So path, if he's taking the path of Shadow and Subterfuge, what are you thinking? Well, I guess rather than the path is to frame that, let's talk about how you picture your character. Like what has led him fall in? Is this someone who was noble and fell in hard times? Is it someone who was always born to this? Is it someone who just is a dick, like stealing shit from the weak? Or
let's say he grew up poor, and so it's a necessity to learn how to be a thief, and he's gotten good at it to the point where he's perhaps talented enough to be hired and out there in the world.
Okay. And the other thing to bear in mind too is that there's going to be an element where fate has intervened, because and it's not like fate intervened and had a plan for you. You were not intended to get it. It's a fragment that fell into you, as far as most folks can tell. So we'll make a connection between your characters, but that can come from before fate, the Ember of Fate fell on you and you became a Blackbird, or it can be, you guys were together beforehand and then both of you happen to be caught by it. What do you think, Sean? Does that help frame what you're thinking of playing?
Yes, I am. Thinking that I guess the Path of Ode, would that be Ode?
Path of Odd and Ritual?
Odd, okay.
Okay. So Path of Odd and Ritual, just FYI, that one does require you to actually have knowledge of the spells. Like, you will have to do more work to read the spells. And
as usual. Yeah, the magic users are always...
so it's actually... one of the neat things they say is that if you're not playing a Path of Odd and Ritual character and you're a player, don't read that section. Because it preserves the mystery for you. So I think it's really cool. It's extremely... It's a really, really interesting magic system, and it's definitely something. So, so Path of Odd and Ritual.
It's always a little more work, if you're going to be a magic user. It's always a little extra. You gotta be a little extra.
Yeah. Okay, so then actually, it's good because that actually will give us a chance to talk about some of the more of the metaphysics in the game as well. Okay, so then next thing we'll go to your human. So the character sheets, guys, we're using the Zweihander sheets, so there's going to be some stuff where we're going to have to not kludge it, but we're going to have to sort of either make do with what we've got. one of the things is the boons and banes that you get. There are no boons and banes in Zweihander. There are no techniques in Zweihander. So what I've been doing, or I did last time, is boons and banes I've been recording under disorders or drawbacks. I put banes as drawbacks. If you hit edit on the disorders and drawbacks table, you can add that in. Ditto for the traits and talents. As a human, what you get is, and we'll add your modifiers after we roll them. Okay, but we can talk about the, so your Bane, both of you have the Bane of being mortal. You are of finite lifespan. Such a being is naturally vulnerable to all the threats of the Blackbird's world, including injury. It just means that you can get, you're not immune to like bleeding or anything like that. There are certain other ancestries that are immune to that stuff. But here's where the neat thing comes in. So you then also get to pick a boon. And the human boons go from page 44 to page 50. So there's a ton.
That Bane, we were supposed to put that in. Where are we supposed to put that in?
Under your drawbacks and disorders. And actually,
right?
if you want to cut and paste it from Adelaza's, I've already got that in there. You could cut and paste the text if that's easier.
All right.
So I think both of you should have access to Adelaza as well.
All right.
Let's see here. Do I have? Yeah, I got all players. Okay.
Switch drawback. Good. Okay.
And just the. So I'll point out two. So the one that Adelaza had last time was the boon of Lone Wolf. When the Blackbird finds themselves engaged with multiple foes, or when there are more foes than fate-bound companions, add an extra damage dice to your attacks. That was why she was doing so much damage against those big pack of wolves. Additionally, once between rekindlings, they may automatically resolve a damage roll as if they'd rolled a 6 on one of their numbers, causing it to explode. Jeff also used that to take down one of those wolves.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And now you said we get
one boon, and the boons are listed from page 44 to page 50 of the thing, and there is a lot. The ones I'll point out that. Oh yeah, this is cool. There's they're all really interesting and really evocative. Like there's one godling. You've actually got a fragment of the dead gods in you. So you pick one of the dead gods, and then you have a certain special ability with it. Another one is the founder of the empire that was overthrown by to found the Republic 1,000 years ago. The founder of that was a guy named Hyperion. There's one called Hyperion's Progeny, and because of the sort of the backstory of how undead come up, there is you get some magical abilities, like you can put your enchanted blood on weapons and make them magical for a scene to allow them to hit things that no mortal blade can hit. However, you are also aggressively attacked by the children of Anhelios, which are like a form of undead in the game, because the undead exist because of Hyperion's action. So again, it's a sort of like inherited legacy from before.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 different options for boons.
Oh, wow.
So interesting ones for you might be like, for you, Sean, might be things like witch blood or witch's blood on page 50.
Okay.
I hate to min-max, but I think I'm going to go with Molded by Darkness.
Nice. No, it also, I mean, this is part of why your character fell into the role as well, right? Yeah. Definitely, there's something to be said for playing against type, but nothing wrong with playing 2 type as well, too. Okay, so all agility and combat-based skill tests ignore negative modifiers caused by poor illumination. That's awesome. While attempting to initiate a surprise round stealth test or flip to succeed. Great opportunity to talk about that mechanic. So flip to succeed, Gary, is just like it sounds like, is you take take whichever dice is lower as your tens digit and treat the other one as your ones digit. So, you know, if I rolled like 91, I could flip it to 19, and that's a success.
Is that a new mechanic in Blackbird?
It was. I remember first seeing it in Zweihander, but they do something similar to that in Eclipse Phase. It's been in games before Zweihander, for sure. I just don't know where Eclipse Phase got the idea from. And I don't know if Zweihander took it from that. I don't think it's called Flip to Succeed in Eclipse Phase. At least I don't remember it being that. But it has been a while. Okay. So if you're going to add that molded by darkness as a boon under your trait, that is something that is always active. So you always have access to that.
Okay. I realize I put it under my disorder, so I'll move it over.
No, that's your mortality. Okay. Oh, hey, Rod. Very interested in the game. I've got the book. It's as beautiful and as expensive as S&H was. Yeah, it's not a cheap book, that's for sure. But it's I think you get what you're paying for with this one. It definitely the attention to. I've yet to see any like major editorial error in here. The game seems to be really. There's something that is not clear to me. Usually I can find the answer to it, or thus far I've been able to find the answer to it. It's not a matter of that something was overlooked or whatnot, and the art is just amazing. I love it, love it. Okay.
And here's another kind of stupid question about like the lore. So you got the daemon and the elves. Is that a carryover from the Zweihander? Like, but it advanced into the future?
Oh no! So it's the backstory for the elves in this are pretty interesting because they served a queen who I think the queen's name was Anhelios, because and Anhelios. And her brood were these immortal spirits that would go and ravage worlds. And when they came here, something happened, and the elves found themselves more. Hyperion ended up first falling in love with, or perhaps being seduced by, or perhaps being forcibly mated. I don't know to her. It's not clear from the lore yet who did what, but Hyperion killed her and their unborn child, which was the child of Anhelios, and or maybe Anhelios was the name of the child. Anyway, the child spilled out, died as well, and that's where the undeath comes from. There was also a civil war, basically, between the elves, and as part of that fight, the what was it? The dwarves. So the dwarves are elves that were transformed. I can't remember why it was they transformed, but then there became a war between the two of them. The dwarves became sort of frozen in place. And then since the gods have died, they've started moving once again. So the elves are extremely... It's a really cool, like, dark fantasy, almost like cosmic horror fused, like, interpretation of the Fae myths. So you can see in the illustration that the crazy thing with the like galaxy spilling out from it, that's what the elves are kind of like. They're extremely magical. The dwarves likewise are extremely magical, but they are much more creatures of mortality, whereas the elves are still creatures of the odd, or at least creatures that are outsiders. The Jotunkin are the giants in it who are sort of... they are the offspring of like the last creation before man, from giants, and then they populated the north. Younger giants started going out and adventuring. They had a connection of some kind to Yggdrasil, And then when Yggdrasil collapsed, a lot of them started moving back to try and figure out how to, help their people and whatever else. But there's lots of baked in reasons for why they're going out and adventuring. So all of the, I'm choosing to focus on humans because I want to see how cool the humans are anyway, without just having, without that being overshadowed just by how interesting the non-human races are. But they are they're very playable. There's lots of good role-playing opportunities, and there are good inbuilt reasons for why certain characters, like dwarves, I can't remember the particulars of it, but dwarves have a way of connecting with a mortal, with another fated. And they sort of it's sort of like a inbuilt reason for them to be sidekicks, kind of, or adventuring companions. And that's great stuff because it gives, less fussing around of trying to figure out how these characters all come together.
Mm-hmm.
That's
good.
Yeah, it's very, very fascinating stuff. And there's enough. It's not the kind of setting where they give you just hints of stuff and there's not enough substance there. They give you 2 fairly detailed cities in 2 different parts of the world, one in the north, one in the south. I am definitely looking forward to seeing more information about the world because it seems like there's a lot of cool stuff they hint at in it. But it's everything I've read, I've enjoyed and found a really oh, that's cool. That'll be really cool at the table. And oh, that'll be cool at the table. Sean, what are you thinking for your boon?
Couple of them. I think I've either the Godling has just a big package of abilities come with it that are interesting, that are mystical in nature. On page 46 between
love that one.
Yeah, that's hard to beat, and I'm also a little intrigued by Spiritual Labyrinth on
also
48.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So an odic manifestation is what goes wrong when you have your magic go awry. Your vitiations, I think, is what spells are called in this. Or at least odic manifestations are called vitiations. There's also wart cunning spells. Wart cunning is the traditional magic that doesn't. It takes longer to cast, but it doesn't require you to bargain with an outsider the way that vitiations do.
Gotcha. So sort of one is a short spell, the other one's a little ritual-y.
Yeah, and they achieve different things as well too. So if you the spell book for here we go. The wart cunning things are spells like circle to keep undead out, or something to give benefits to the sharing bread and giving benefits to your allies, or keeping the odd away, or enchanting weapons.
This description gives now makes more sense with your. It's interesting because I can protect. It doesn't nullify the manifestation, but it means I can ignore it though, and I can protect members at the cost of 1 fortune per. So that makes more sense. Yeah.
And if a party is called a flock in the game.
Gotcha.
There are some games that I find the unnecessary nomenclature to be tiresome. I love it in this game. It's so good.
Yeah, flavorful.
Yeah.
And the disappearing is kind of cool too. I'm sort of into that of the Spiritual Labyrinth. So let's see here. It's those 2.
You see what I mean about there being plenty of decisions to make for even just for humans? Where it's like.
Yeah. Totally. Gosh, let's see. Additionally, what's in the kindlings I tap? Yep. That's interesting.
So, Kev, tell us more about the holiday, the Yule.
So Blackbirds of Yule. So, Holiday of Yule is just a traditional. The last couple of years when I haven't gone home for Christmas, when I haven't been able to go home for Christmas, I've offered to run sessions. And sometimes it started just as like a New Year's Eve session for people who couldn't, go elsewhere, had nothing else they wanted to do. I'm past the point of wanting to go out for New Year's Eve, so it's more fun for me to do that. And with the players in different time zones too, we get a chance to like celebrate New Year's in the middle of the afternoon or the early evening with European players. And then last year, what I did is I wrapped it all around a brand new setting. Like I actually only found out the last minute that I couldn't go home. So I put the bunch of dates out, and that's where our Spires of Paradar campaign came from, was just playing through with that, and then we enjoyed the sessions and the characters enough that we've been playing it for a year, coming up on a year now. And for this year, I had been kicking around ideas for different things, so I knew I wasn't going home. And then I enjoyed reading Blackbirds so much when I was on vacation. I was sort of thinking about when to get to the table. And then as soon as we were done the last session, I'm like, well, both Sean and Jeff were saying like, yeah, this would be a really good game to play again. And I sort of thought, yeah, this would be a really good game to play for the gaming marathon. And then within a week, I'd sort of decided like, this is the way to say, Merry Christmas to the players roster. So everyone got a copy of Blackbirds. And then I've used Yule previously as a framing thing, because it's easier to reframe pagan stuff into fictional worlds than it is there's a long tradition from deities and demigods of repurposing non-Christian ideas and putting them in a fantasy setting and saying like, it's there. So Yule's an easy one I've used last year. Harrow Haunts of Yule's our first session in Spires of Paradar. For this year, it just so happens Yule runs from December 21st to January 1st. And that's about the time where we'll be running sessions. So I was like, fuck it, Blackbirds of Yule. So I don't know. I know the sessions are going to take place in Erdland or Edland as well. Same setting that you're making the characters for. And I am probably going to do what I did last year, which is to try and make every single one of the stories be like, a Conan short story, like a done-in-one, punchy in-and-out thing. So everyone gets a chance, and everyone gets XP who played in it, so people who play in more than one might be able to see developments in their characters. If you only play in one, you're still going to get a full experience out of it. So that's the plan, at least. And then I got to sit down and start. I've lost my week this week to BattleTech. So now that that's sort of out of my system, I can start thinking about Blackbirds of Yule. But
that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you go down those rabbit holes, I find I'm too much of a completist. I need to, see it through to the end and then get on to the next thing. So.
Do you have so is there a session so on the 31st, for example, is there a session every Saturday? What regular session do you have that would take place on Saturday?
Yeah, so, let me take a look at the calendar. Basically we're giving over all the regular scheduled sessions for that, starting with 21st is, I believe, a Wednesday. It's when our Night Below session is normally, and we're starting with that one. And then that Friday, I think it's the 24th. And then the Saturday is, so 24th, 25th, I'm not doing anything because it's Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. But, why is this displaying this way? Hold on here. Month, here we go. So 21st, 23rd, yeah, actually 23rd. 21st, 23rd, there'll be sessions. Then, Christmas Day is off, the 30th. The 31st, I'm gonna take the first off, but and then the 28th is our Night Below game, but that one we're actually doing retrospective for the 4 years or 3 years of that campaign. Gotcha. But I'll probably put dates out, and if other people want to play, like I'm not doing anything for Boxing Day, so like I'll probably run something on the 26th. I'll probably run something on the 30th for sure. The 31st for sure.
What time is the 31st?
No idea. Yeah, I'll probably run two on that one, depending on people's interest or availability. 31st is a Saturday, so normally, like if it's a charity session or charity session weekend, we do 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, North America time. So, yeah, I'll circulate those to make sure you have. Once we get our Conan session done, I'll circulate the dates for that, and as people can sign up. And if no one signs up, then it's fine. I'll find something else to do with that.
No games on the first, though.
No games on the first. No, we'll take a break on New Year's Day.
Very good.
I think that is what we call the U2 holiday. No? No Bono fans? All right. Okay, so did you select a boon?
I think I'm going to go with the Spiritual Labyrinth.
Very cool. All right, so if you put...
And that's on, let's see,
49.
I should put that under traits and talents, right?
Yes, yes. And just refer to when it gives you the... I think you get a chance to... You can put down other rather than trait or talent, and you can just describe it. It's coming from Ancestry, and it is a... what do you call it? A boon. I imagine they're going to be loading Blackbirds in here as well, because they've already got Flames of Freedom and Zweihander in here. So I managed just a matter of time. And then what we were doing last time to sort of reflect the slotting, because you can't do the slotting in this, is you can expand and collapse the display of the talents or traits. So just having the one that you got slotted, that one's expanded.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that works well enough. Okay, so you guys, I'll let you get your thing copied or cut and pasted in there.
Yes.
But the next thing we got to do is roll in some polyhedrals. So we will be rolling. It's 2d10 plus 35 for each of your stats. So if you hit edit on that, you'll be able to edit your different stats. And then for each of the 7 stats, if you could roll 2d10 plus 35. And then if one is in the wrong place for the path you want to use, feel free to flip it, or to swap it out for one other one. I don't really care. That's not rules as written, but I don't care. Let's live large. 45, pretty good. 39 for combat, okay. So the things that are important for your agility, obviously, is quite important for a shadow and subterfuge path. And
so we're just going straight down the. These are
straight down the line.
Down.
And then if you need to swap, you can swap one to make it fit for what's important for you. The most important ones for you.
There goes my agility. 49.
49. Pretty good. Nice.
I assume perception probably is another good one for me.
Yep. Yeah, because perception goes to initiative, and perception goes to damage with ranged weapons.
Good one.
53.
Holy smokes. Good stuff. And even if you guys don't have, if you found that you've got a good enough stat in your kind of like your core stat, still feel free to swap if you want to, if there's a higher number in one of your other stats.
45 for my intelligence, and that's it.
Okay. No, it should be, scroll down. There should be also willpower, fellowship. And fellowship.
Sorry. Yeah, there. Hidden.
Yeah.
When you expand it.
You got to scroll down.
Okay, willpower.
6.
I'm having some good rolls.
48.
And finally, my fellowship.
37.
Not so chatty. 37 is nothing to sneeze at, though. It's not. 43. All right. So, the character sheet is also, this is the Zweihander one, so there are certain skills that are either don't exist or are in different places. So we'll just have to sort of, remember that there are different things, or they have different names. Like, for instance, there is no incantation or incantation skill, but there is Odd Weft, which is what you use to work vitiations.
Cool. I've got my stats done.
Okay. So then, do you guys wish to make any swaps for any of your stats? Are you good with where everything is?
Yeah, I'm kind of happy with the way it rolled out.
Okay, then if you could record what your bonuses are. So under each, you will see something that is a B, under... oh, you know what? It looks like it automatically calculates it. That's great. So what the bonus is your starting bonus is equal to your the tens digit in your stat. It's used in two primary ways. For one, it's added to like damage in some cases, depending on what kind of weapon you're using. It also is used when you are contesting with skills, because you take your degree of success and then you add your bonus to that, and that dictates what your overall competence with it is. It's used in, actually, to be honest, on quite a few different things. Next thing you guys get to do is apply your ancestry modifiers to the bonus. There are certain talents that will buff up the base numbers for you, but for the most part, the things that will be changing will be the bonuses. So under, let's see here, under the bonus, you can put down the modifiers, and you guys, I believe, as humans, get to add +1 to 3 primary attribute bonuses and -1 to 3. So one of your 7 stats will remain untouched, then 3 will get +1 to the bonus, 3 will get -1 to the bonus. So you just add that under the modifier section.
So 3+ and 3-.
Correct, yeah.
Let's see, and so the stats for my guy probably centered on willpower and intelligence. Do you think that's correct?
Yes, I believe. Let me tell you what the spellcasting. I'm going to the Whispering Grimoire. Can you hear it open?
Yes.
Let's see here.
And you told us we can swap one, right, Kevin?
Yes, you can swap one from one to another if you like.
Yeah.
Okay, so... yeah, working a vitiation. I believe this is an odd weft roll. Let's see here. Use of vitiation. Yeah, odd weft test, which is based on willpower. And intelligence, where does it come in? I think it depends on the vitiation. Certain ones have willpower comes in a lot of them for like duration and stuff like that. That's the most important thing for you.
Well, that was my highest stat automatically. So
look at that.
Naturally.
It's almost like it knew. So yeah,
Seriously.
and then if you could use the modifier, you will get advances afterwards too, but it's the modifier that you're doing right now. The favored thing, it does not appear that that's a... oh wait, hold on. Is it favored? Hold on. I think I may have remembered what that might relate to. Let's see here. Okay. There we go. No, it's unlocked bonuses. So your favored, you can put down for... Gary, for your character, the agility and perception you can tick as favored, because those are unlocked, which means they're cheaper to buy with advances. And for the odd weft, it is intelligence and willpower. You can tick those as favored. That just shows that you unlocked those.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it has any other, like, it doesn't do anything with your dice rolls or anything like that, but just a way of keeping in mind which things have been unlocked. Once you have placed that, guys, let us know. You made your selections for bonuses?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see here. Almost done. Go here. Here. Oh, should I go that or that? Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Then let's go to your character's combat tab. Let's take a look and see if they have calculated everything correctly for you. All right, so your damage threshold should be equal to your brawn bonus, the BB. Is that correct for you guys? So your brawn bonus is... Oh, you got the -1 to yours. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So yours is correct. Looks like it's calculating that correctly. Your peril threshold is 3 plus your willpower bonus. That looks to be correct as well.
So we should see our bonus reflected in this.
Yeah, let me open up your character here too.
Yeah.
So your brawn bonus, your BB is a 3, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then, your damage threshold is a 3. Your peril threshold is your willpower bonus plus 3. So that looks like that's right as well. Your willpower bonus is in 5?
Yes. Yes.
Yep. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Then your initiative is 3 plus your perception bonus. Looks like that's recorded correctly. Your movement is 3 plus your agility bonus. That looks like that's correct. Maximum skills, which is something in this game, not in other games, is your tier plus 3 plus your intelligence bonus. We don't need to record that anywhere. We just need to keep that in mind. You're not going to be able to exceed that at character generation. And then what is your intelligence bonus, guys? This will tell us how many languages you speak with, or you speak. You start with speaking.
I have the intelligence bonus of 3, but a modifier of -1. I don't know how.
Yeah, your IB is what I'm looking for. Intelligence bonus.
Okay. 3.
3? Okay.
Yeah.
5.
3. You only start with 1 language. 5. You start with 2.
Okay.
Okay. So remember, you start with 2 languages. Next thing is your starting path. So you're gonna take note of the things that your path has listed as being unlocked. So you've got a list of skills and unlocked bonuses. You also have starting trappings. And in the case of a Theurge, you have a rapport relationship with a single outsider input. We'll deal with that in a moment. I think just start with 1. There is an option to buy a second one, but let's just focus on 1 for now and spend the points on talents and techniques. So your talents begin on, let's see here. For Shadow and Subterfuge, you're starting on page 136. That's where your talents and techniques begin, and Odd and Ritual, you start on page 130. You have 9 reward points. These 9 points can be spent on bonus advances. Ignore patronage for now. We'll keep that as a role-playing thing. So bonus advances, skills and ranks, talents, or techniques. If they are unlocked, it costs you 1 for the bonus advances and for skills. So if it's a skill that is unlocked, or if it's a bonus that is unlocked, costs you 1 RP to take it. If it's locked, if it's something you don't have access to, or at least isn't listed in your thing, it costs you 2 RP. Each talent costs you 1 RP. Each technique costs 2. Now, for the characters that I built last time, what I made sure to do was to have 2 techniques for the characters and 1 talent. And the reason being is that way you've got some versatility and some selection between the 2 different techniques. That's also how all of the pre-gens from the Quick Start were built. So that's where I took that direction from. But you were certainly free. If you only want to have 1, you're certainly free to do that. But otherwise, talents cost 1, techniques cost 2, unlocked bonuses cost 1, locked bonuses cost 2, and you have 9 to spend. So if you want to take a look at the things, take a look as well. You will see under prerequisites, if it has 2 symbols next to it or 3 symbols next to it, that just means 3 tiers in that thing. So if you look at, say, on page 130, Sean, if you're looking at the Odd and Ritual techniques, Armor of the Odd has a prerequisite of 2 Odd and Ritual things. You need to have 2 tiers in that. You guys are at tier
2 twos.
1, which means basically everything before that and up to the start of that section, those are all talents you can select. And the techniques, you can get anything up until the starting of banishment. Yeah, it's ditto for Shadow and Subterfuge. And the cool thing is they have those markings on the back of the cards too. I've got the PDF version of it. They aren't in print on demand yet, but that's going to be, it's pretty cool. So it's, if you're playing in person,
the list of talents and techniques is right here. The unlock, the bonuses, are those where those are here?
9 reward points. The bonuses are from your description of your pass. So you're on page 80, and page 81 for Shadow and Subterfuge. Like, for it lists here unlocked bonuses. IB and WB are your unlocked bonuses, and then your unlocked skills are Bargain, Folklore, Odd Weft, Resolve, and Wart Cunning. Each of the skills would cost you 1 point. Each of the bonuses would cost you 1 point. And I'll tell you what the maximum you can spend on each too. Hold on here. I think you can spend more than one. I think at this tier. It's not like some of the other powered by Zweihander games. Let's see. Okay. Where is... Okay, skills.
And is there's a limit on the level we can purchase up to? Just
I'm
one?
just checking that. I said I think you can go above, but I think I'm wrong on that.
Above 1?
I think you might only be able to take 1, but I'm trying to find that where that's written.
Right on.
Because I've been running so much Flames of Freedom lately. They're both mixing up in Manoodle. So... In fact, I think what I've confused is the bonuses and the skills. I think skills you are limited to only 1 per tier, like 1 raise per tier, but you are able to take more than 1 bonus per tier. So like you could raise your intelligence bonus by 2, for instance. Here we go, tiers of play. Peril threshold. Yes. Okay, so you are restricted in what tier of advancement you get to. So you can only take 1 level in a skill at this tier. But you aren't restricted. Where's the advancement section here? Let's see. And again, like if you want more versatility for your character, consider getting 2 techniques so that you have the ability to slot more than 1. Go. just...
And we're not buying skills right now, are we? Is that
yeah, you can. No, skills as well. Those are 1 point per advancement. So skills. If you wanted to recheck yourself, page 41 is the summary of character creation. You have 9 points to spend on advances, skills, talents, or techniques. And you can take skills other than what is listed for your path. It just
and bonuses
costs you
too, right?
And bonuses, yeah. It just they cost 2 per point.
Unlocked cost 1, right? And
Unlocked cost
2.
1, locked cost 2. Correct.
Very good. Skills cost 1. Okay.
Where should we record these, Kev?
Well, if you like whatever you're taking, whether if it's a bonus advance or if it's an advancement to your bonus, just edit your character sheet and move it up by 1. So, like, if you take a look, say under combat or any of them, there's a bonus advancement. If you click on that, you can tier down to +1. Where it says bonus advances, it's listed as 0 currently. If you click that drop-down menu, it gives you +1, +2, +3, plus whatever. So if you've taken an advancement to a stat, that's how you do there. If you're doing training in a skill, just drop it down to, same thing, you edit that section, you drop it down to apprentice, +10%.
And for the techniques and talents?
Talents and techniques, you put them under traits and talents.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, and then was what to keep track of what you've got slotted. Remember, you can at this tier you can have 1 talent and 1 technique slotted, and to swap them out, you need to swap one of them out. You either need to do that during a rekindling, or you need to do that, spend a fortune point to take one out, put one in.
Okay.
Talents are persisting bonuses, so you at this stage, having 1 that just gives you a constant bonus is probably easier. The reason I went with 2 techniques, and the reason I think that they did that in the quick start is because it gives you a lot of options, right? So it gives you 3 different skills or 3 different actions that you can take, and those are a little more versatile. And remember, you also can take weapon techniques. They are listed at the end of the technique section. There are also some interesting, like, sidekick ones you can take too, like a bodyguard, falconer, or master of hounds. If you really want to have a character who's got a pet.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's some really neat options here. The only thing is, I don't know if either of your paths give you or have any of the weapon skills listed or unlocked right away, so it would cost you 2 to get the necessary prerequisite to be able to use some of the weapon techniques. And I'm still trying to find that confirmation of how many bonuses you can take. Here we go, spending. So a Blackbird's skill ranks in any skill can never exceed the number of tiers that you've advanced through.
Okay.
And the number of bonus advances can never exceed double the tier. So in this tier, you can have up to +2 to any of your bonuses. At intermediate, it's up to +4. At advanced, it's up to +6.
So what was it? What's it right now?
Right now, it's a maximum of 2 for your bonuses, maximum 1 for skills.
Okay.
That's on page 91 of the CRB for those listening at home. Oh, and Matt, I'm really sorry we weren't able to play Call of Cthulhu tonight, too. I know you were looking forward to that. Hopefully you'll enjoy seeing these Blackbirds come together. I will certainly enjoy trying to make them fall apart. All right. So tell me, guys, what is the thought process going on with these selections? Are you finding there's a lot of interesting talents and techniques?
Yeah, there's actually I really enjoy the honing in on at least in the shadow and subterfuge techniques. There's a ton of interesting ones. I think I'm going to choose the and I'm going to probably pronounce this wrong. Dance of Alacrity. Alacrity.
Yep.
I knew I would. That's why we need the lawyers here.
Always better to try it rather than not. If it makes you feel better, I had a friend who, in court many times, kept saying prevalent. And we got out of court, and I'm like, I think that's pronounced prevalent. He's like, what are you talking about? No, it isn't. Got back to the office, and we found out the pronunciation thing on dictionary.com, and I kept hitting over and over again, prevalent.
Well, now I'm afraid to ever say that. I'm just going to say the dance.
Oh, fuck. It's always, always better to give it a try. I've mispronounced melee for years and years and years. Who gives a shit? Always, we know what you're saying.
You mean melee, right?
Bingo. And I think all of us have come across someone who has had an interesting pronunciation for paladin at some point or another. Always better to see them make an effort to use them rather than leave those words unused.
Basically, I went through the skills and bonuses to see, the high value, which ones are going to have to be displaced.
Yep.
That I want, but might have to be displaced, and now I'm hitting the more meaty, more to digest talents and techniques.
Yeah, they are really interesting. I think you have if he's I didn't know he had a background in video games, but it makes a lot of sense because there's some really interesting decisions you get to make about as you're putting your characters together. In particular, the idea of getting access to certain passive bonuses or actions with the techniques. Great stuff, really, really great stuff.
Techniques are slotted and talents are not. That's right.
Both are slotted.
Correct?
Both are slotted.
Both are slotted.
But
Okay.
one gives you access to a persisting, always, talents generally always give a persisting bonus that's just constantly active. Techniques often give you sometimes a passive bonus, but often a passive bonus plus other actions you can take. So things you can do that other folks can't.
Gotcha.
I think for my two traits that I'm going is lightning reflexes and hidden blade.
Talents or
these are traits.
Traits, which there's talents or techniques.
Sorry, talents.
Talents, okay. No problem.
I'm looking at the
the character sheet.
Yeah, two talents of lightning reflexes and hidden blade.
Okay. Let's see here. Oh, so lightning reflexes, remember, you got to check your prerequisites. Lightning reflexes is a tier 2 ability.
Oh, is it?
See, under the prerequisites, it has 2 dots or 2.
2 dots. Got it.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
But that actually gives it. It's actually not so bad because you can only have 1 talent slotted and 1 technique slotted. Okay. So you wouldn't be able to have both of those active at the same time.
Okay.
So a little challenging on the talents is that almost all of them are a bonus to vitiations, to odd weft rolls, to use vitiations by a certain court.
Yeah, so you're going to be, your outsider will come from one of the courts. So really just decide if you want to get a bonus to vitiations from that court, because you're only going to have one anyway.
And is that assigned to me, that court?
Yeah, we'll talk about what court will be of particular interest to you.
Okay, gotcha. Good. So I don't really have a decision there except binary, right? Whether I want the bonus.
Yeah, whether you want the bonus or not, or if you want to take Odic Warrior, which gives you use willpower bonus instead of combat bonus when you're doing damage.
That's pretty sweet, but let's see. There's competition.
So one of the neat things... Oh, go ahead, Gary, sorry.
But no, it's all right. I was just going to say, so just to confirm that my technique was 2 points, my talent was 1 point, so that's 3 out of the 9.
Yep.
And then I can assign 6 to any of my skills if they're unlocked, and that counts as 1 point for those.
Yep.
And then the other ones are 2 points if I choose.
Correct. Same thing for your bonuses or your skills. So if you want to take a skill that's still locked, costs you 2. If you want to take a rank or 2 in your bonuses, those cost you 1 point each.
Okay.
Which technique did you go with?
The dance of that was the dance one.
So again, Dance of Alacrity, that's a rank 2. Remember your prerequisites.
Oh, okay. So that one I can't even take.
Can't take it, no.
Okay.
But let's see, what does it do? After making a dodge, to gain back your... once you spend 1 to make a 0 AP move, so it's a mobility type thing. There is one that's sort of like that at first here. It is...
How about they do Prowler?
Yes. That gives you flat. That's the one I was looking for. Flat plus 10% to bonus when it's to stealth while it's active. And then if you get to second tier and you carry on with Shadow and Subterfuge, that becomes plus 20. And Never Saw It Coming, with one surprise thing, you can subdue them. And then Adieu. That's the extinguished one. Just gets you to safety. You get out of a fight. That's a pretty cool one.
And is there any limitation on our bonuses as far as like I can go to level 3 without any, like I don't have to scale it up one at a time? Like I can, as an example, for stealth, right now I'm at +1, like plus 10%.
Yep.
And so I could go to master with, and that would count as 3 points?
No, you cannot. Remember, your skill ranks can't be, they're limited by what tier you're at.
Okay.
You're limited by how many bonuses you add to each stat by 2 times your tier. So your tier 1, which means you can add 1 skill rank, and you can add 2 bonuses at this tier. When you get to the next tier, you have a max of 4 for your bonuses, and you have a maximum of 2 for your skills.
Okay.
And then depending... oh, go ahead, John.
Go ahead. No, finish your...
and then also depending on what... at the next tier, depending on what path you choose to follow, you could go another tier of Shadow and Subterfuge. That would then allow you to access Dance of Alacrity, because you'd have that necessary 2 points. And when you're using Prowler, that passive bonus to stealth would go up by 10, because it's plus 10 per tier in Shadow and Subterfuge. Shot, what were you going to ask?
Is so tithe? What is that's
you will be familiar with that. Remember, you're slowly ticking up stuff where you have an obligation to the outsider that your Nephilim had. You gain it a lot faster as a worker of vitiations.
Gotcha.
Basically, there is also there's the risk of an Audic manifestation when you call on chaos, when you try and draw more power from the odd. What to tithe is though is the price you always pay by calling on and bargaining with your outsider to cast this your vitiation.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then what will happen is, depending on what court you are associated with, they will ask you to do different things. So, the Nephilim you're playing was, I believe, the Court of Knowledge? Court of Ignorance. That's the one where they were asking you to destroy sources of knowledge, and depending on how much tithe you needed to pay off, it was a more dramatic thing. There are other ones like the Court of Peace, where they're going to want you to attack somebody, or the Court of Joy, where they're going to want you to cause misery in someone. Depending on what it is, each different outsider that you bargain with will have a different requirement from you.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So if there's something to do with tithe that like reduces the amount that you get or allows you to pay off more, that will just allow you to be free of the demands of your kind of demonic tutor.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what the next thing is you guys will be doing. Well, you receive a fate amulet, and you got to pick your alignment after. How are things looking for you, Sean? Are the things that really stand out for you in the talents or the techniques for odd and ritual?
Yeah, there's some good ones. Just a lot to.
And remember to keep things easier too. Remember that if it's a prerequisite of 2 symbols, you're not going to be able to take it anyway. So,
Yep.
that'll be a problem for future.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
There's still quite a few though. Let's see. So,
like for a court rulebook, there's an impressive amount of options you have in here too. It's not like you feel like, boy, can't wait for that first splat book to come out so I can have a bunch of options. Like there's a ton of options, even for the non-humans too. Like the non-human characters, it's not like they got short shrift and the humans just got a ton more. The humans have a huge amount, but there's a lot of interesting decisions you make as if you're playing an ice, if you're playing Diamond or Jotunkin or whatchamacallit, Nephilim. There's very cool decisions you get to make about your character throughout the process. That's in here.
Talents are 1. Okay, that's right.
I'm going to try and find the list of... Let's see here. The way that the vitiations are restricted is that depending on the... there are like... to be honest, in old school D&D, it would be thought of as like spheres, or in second edition D&D at least, it would be thought of as the spheres as like certain areas of control, or domains, I guess, in 5th edition, that the characters have access to, the tutors. So your outsiders will have what's called remnants, and it restricts what spells, basically, or what vitiations you have access to. So depending on what court your character comes from and the specific outsider, it may have access to different vitiations. And that can help decide what court you want your character's outsider to come from. It's cool too because the your outsider can also unlock techniques that you can take.
All right.
We're not going to worry about that for now because you can take that later. Is it here?
You said before, Kevin, that you were we got 1 talent and 2 techniques before. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Before?
Yeah. Because Because the techniques, and again, like I can't speak for the quick start, the reason they did it in that, but I suspect it's so that it's to showcase the versatility that comes with the techniques. And it seemed like you guys, I don't think your character swapped out one only because of the situation, but Jeff's character was swapped out at one point because the one was really helpful for most of the time, but he needed the extinguish technique from the other one, so he spent a fortune point, swapped it out, and then used that to take down one of those wolves.
Yep. I mean, the talents, it would seem like it would behoove you to, to take that, to get a bonus on the court, whatever, you got one court, to get a bonus on it seems hard to pass that up.
Yeah.
And the warrior would be great if you could afford it, but it'd be hard to pass up the your basic bread and butter bonus to your court. And
that's a thing I think that's so... One of the things that really attracted me about the game when I started getting into the techniques, and it's different from... and this isn't a slight against Flames of Freedom or Zweihander, but it's different from those other ones. It's the... it's the decision making of what neat ability do I want to access right now. That, I think, anytime you're giving characters interesting decisions to make over resources and the use of those little things, that's great stuff.
Yeah.
So, and Gary, how is your spending of your points coming?
Well, I think I've got it. I'm trying to flip through to make sure my numbers kind of add up. But so I've got the technique of Prowler.
Yep.
And the weapon technique of Bullwhip.
Okay, and so double check the prerequisite for that.
For the Bullwhip?
Yeah, because those have usually a prerequisite of a skill.
Oh, okay.
So let's see here. Bullwhip. Bullwhip has prerequisite of 1 skill rank in melee.
So I have to melee?
You'd have to purchase at least 1 rank. Yeah, so in Zweihander and Flames of Freedom, there's a difference between like different kinds of melee. Just pick one of the ones and have that count as your melee. In Blackbirds, there's melee, ranged, and warfare as your combat skills. That's it. There's not martial melee, simple melee, simple range, martial ranged.
Okay.
So just pick one of those things. And if you do want to get that, I don't think it's one of your...
so it cost 2?
Yeah, unlocked one, so it would cost you 2 if you want to take it.
Okay. So if that's the case, then so that Bullwhip will cost me 1 martial melee, which is 2 points, and then the technique, which is 4 points. So
no, the technique should only be 1. I think weapon techniques only cost you 1.
Okay.
So
the Bullwhip and the need for the prerequisite, that's 3.
So it'll be 3 in total you need to spend for that, yeah.
Okay, so that's done. And then I've got the technique of Prowler, which was 2.
And if you purchase it at the weapon technique at character creation, you get 1 for free. So you have whip for free then.
Okay.
You start off very limited in your gear in Blackbirds. Okay.
So if I'm doing the math right, the Bullwhip cost me 3. The Prowler cost me another 2, so I'm up to 5.
Yep.
And then the talent cost me 1, so that's 6.
Yep.
And then I have 3 bonuses I can provide.
3 RPs you can spend, yeah.
And I went Skullduggery, Stealth, and Awareness.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. I'm just looking at the Bullwhip one too. So you got a 1 AP reaction. Oh, that's fucking awesome. Make him flip to fail on a melee.
I thought it might be fun too, because you can swing from it too. So with the feet, then
grapple and takedown,
and disarm or knock something out of people's hands or snatch.
And then what's the extinguish? You may automatically do any one thing that the whip is reasonably capable of doing: breaking a neck, snatching something from someone's hand, and catch it themselves. Trip a beast. That's super fucking cool. Yeah, the extinguish actions are just awesome in this. And it's balanced because there are certain, like, boss monsters that are immune to extinguish actions. They're not super common, but it's enough that, like, you can feel like an utter badass when you're dealing with, at certain critical moments when you're dealing with chumps without breaking the game for, boss fights. So it's pretty cool. Okay.
I think that's all done for me.
Awesome. So then the next thing you get to choose is your trappings. So you have a dose of a venom or toxin, a pair of dice or a deck of playing cards, 2 patronage 1 or 2 weapons. That's in addition to your bullwhip because of your weapon technique, and dark clothing. So the weapons, where are the trappings here? Weapons start on page 223.
Thank goodness they have the nice silk bookmarks.
Yeah, love them. Yeah, they're fantastic for keeping track. As Ingolf pointed out, too, the color of the German flag. I don't think it was intentional, but yeah. So then let's say under patronage, anything that is a 1 or a 2, you can take 2 patronage 1 or 2 weapons, and that's in addition to your whip.
Okay.
I was wondering here that's all about your shadow. What brings back?
What's that?
There's one technique that's all about your shadow. That was reminding me of looking familiar.
Golag.
Yeah.
Most definitely, yeah.
Where your shadow peels off and can scout, or
That's a very, very cool
or
idea.
the extinguishing one is it drags an enemy into the odd.
That's awesome. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Is that a tier 1 ability?
Yeah,
that's super cool.
on page 133.
Oh, man.
Temptation.
Make you feel robbed that Golag can't do. How come I can't drag shit into the
Yeah, I'll be looking at my shadow like, what are you good for? Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Oh, wow.
What does the odd and your trappings also? I think there's a tab for trappings as well. There is a compendium for this, but it's for Zweihander and for Flames of Freedom, which means that, at least I purchased the Flames of Freedom as well. It's not going to quite track with with Blackbirds. When the Blackbirds Roll 21 comes out, I'll pick it up day of release. But
Yeah.
you know, in the interim,
Yes, indeed.
yeah. Okay.
Let's see here. Tough calls. I'm wondering if I need to, I mean, I don't know that you would know either, but whether I should specialize between Odd Weft and Wart Cunning. They seem to be two different.
They are very different things, yeah. And unless you've got something that that grants you access to Wart Cunning spells, you won't be starting with any spells with it. So it's a totally different, and you can be someone who has no access to the odd whatsoever and still make use of Wart Cunning. It's just, Wart Cunning is the natural, magical, it works with the magical world, or the natural world, as opposed to vitiations, which deal with pacts and whatnot. When you cast a vitiation, you're not actually casting the spell yourself, you're bargaining with the outsider to manifest it.
Because if they each have their own stat. So, I mean, if you specialize, you could drop the skill, you could drop the bonus. I'm just wondering on...
yeah, your choice. I mean, unless you took a boon or a technique that gave you access to Wart Cunning, like Wart Cunning spells, then you're probably not going to be casting them.
I don't think there are any. I don't think so.
There are ones you took. It's the one you took. I don't think your boon was the labyrinth one, wasn't it?
Oh, I see that. Gotcha.
Yeah, because there's one called like Witch Blood that allows you to start with some Wart Cunning.
I see.
Stuff as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's cool that they got something different. It fits in with the thematic ideas of like the odd being a totally different kind of magic than the natural sort of like folk understanding of things. And I think to keep the mystery, the one thing I love, they also suggest that you don't read the section, even though you're going to read the spells, to not read the section of about the actual the outsiders you're dealing with. So the decision I'm going to put to you is what, and maybe I'll put it in chat. That's probably an easier. I can make productive use of my time instead of just yapping at you guys. I'll put down what your options are, so you can pick what skills you want to have access to, and then I'll tell you what court you're bargaining with.
Okay.
Because even bargainers, they all work with imperfect knowledge. So you're bargaining for power, but you don't necessarily know who you're getting it from.
Yep.
Okay. So, and these will be the just if you want to mark it, Sean, the the remnants that I'm going to reference in this are on page 264. It gives you the vitiations by remnant. Okay, so option 1.
All right.
Okay. And all of them have access to the common remnant.
Okay.
The ones that language of the odd, unweave the odd, you always have access to those. Okay. What other weapons are you taking there, Gary?
A dagger and longsword.
Nice. Oh, longsword's quite good too with the whatchamacallit, the weapon proficiency with it, or weapon technique.
And I chose a deck of cards, and your magician friend inspired me.
Nice. What did I just see? Yeah, that's. Oh, I've not. I don't know an awful lot of folks who are in the performance arts, but that's hands down the most impressive reaction I've ever seen someone do.
And I am such a lover of magicians. Like I'm a sucker for that. Like anytime I can see a magic show, I always like watching it. And if you look at my TikTok feed, it's like all these like amateur magicians like doing crazy stuff.
That's awesome. I actually had there were two guys I went to law school with who were both close-up magician guys. So like when you get them together at a party, it was so fucking crazy.
And I just love the misdirect, right? Like it's just amazing what they can do with just. And I'm just such a mark for it because like I don't have that skill. I can't perceive it, so I'm like like a kid.
Oh, totally. It was like even we knew they were doing it. We knew it was a trick coming, but they got us every single fucking time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so there you go, Sean. Boom. There are your 6 options for which remnants you wish to choose from. You don't need you don't need to spend any of your talents or technique points on this stuff. This is just going to govern what vitiations you have access to. So if you bargain, like for instance, if you bargain with the first one, that would mean that at the rapport tier, you could cast anything from the deceit or esoteria or common remnant.
So I choose one of those, and that tells me the court.
That tells you which, and then with which option you choose, then I'll tell you what court it is, and the nature of your imp that you have bargained with. As is appropriate for the theme of the game, you decide what power you want, then you learn the cost.
Yeah.
You sound thrilled.
No, I look forward to it. I'm still crunching on which. I'm close.
That's a great. No rush whatsoever. We got nothing. This is. I want you guys to take your time with selecting what characters precisely you want to play. 'Cause it is such a fun thing making characters with it. And do you find that you've already got like your second one sort of half drafted in mind? Because I found that when I was even putting together the two characters, I was like, oh, this would be a really neat one to do now. Oh, that's a neat idea for next time too.
Yeah, I mean, there's some nice. There's a to be like a combat magic user. There's a lot of possibilities here for that.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm lamenting a little bit that I did decide to. I guess I decided to swap. The swap I decided on was to boost my intelligence, and I've wondered if I should have instead boosted my combat. Done a swap to boost the combat, because my combat's my worst stat. But
if you want,
whatever.
You can swap it back and then make the swap for how you want. Do it. Make whatever one fits best with what you want to do. Go nuts.
Yeah. Not sure, because I haven't really settled on. The combat ones. I'm thinking that's my second character. that's like the next.
Nice.
That's the next guy.
Yeah,
that's the next guy. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw on my Twitter earlier, I found a copy of Deities and Demigods, or Deities and Demigods, at a used bookstore today.
Oh, hell yeah. That's great.
So I was kind of happy about that.
Twitter's been a little a little off today, so I may have missed it.
Well, it's funny. Normally, nobody likes any of my tweets except when I put just a simple picture going, look what I found. And then all of a sudden, everybody's like, yay. But when I go into depth and I'm like trying to pour my heart out, nobody cares.
I care, Gary. I care.
Well, thank you.
Okay. So you got your weapons. You got your stuff. Now, sorry, what were the two weapons you picked? Longsword and...
For me, dagger and longsword.
So dagger, I don't think you can afford.
Oh, okay.
Dagger is a patronage 4 thing. If you want a little short stabby thing, a shiv is patronage 1, and a longsword is patronage 5. So you cannot take a longsword.
So that's what I understand what patronage.
Patronage
means.
So and the patronage is a really cool mechanic in here, because it's like if you have it's a reason to try and interact with the world and find people who will support what your Blackbird is doing, because it's a way of helping to access and gain. Excuse me. Hold on, longsword. Yeah, it is 5. Fucking hell. And it's a reason to take the techniques, because if you got the technique, then you gain access to it for free. Like you got the bullwhip for free. Let me see if I can find something that's sort of comparable here. A cudgel. I'll put a stick. You want a heavy stick? No. Even an axe is. A peasant flail is a 2. A shiv is a 1. One of the cool things about shiv, offhand, what that quality does is... Well, here's a couple things that are useful about it. It's finesse, which means you use your agility bonus for damage instead of combat bonus. So if your agility bonus is better, you do more. And as a shadow guy, I think that's probably the case. Offhand means if you have a weapon in your main hand and this in your offhand, gives +1 damage. And fast means it's minus 10% to their parry. Just harder.
Well, I almost took it originally, so now I'm a bullwhip, a shiv, and a staff.
Yeah, staff, nice. Okay, cool. Excellent. And yeah, I love the pictures of the weapons in here. Teenage Kev would love this. Adult Kev loves this as well, but teenage kid really got off on the pictures of weapons.
It really does remind me of, like, sometimes you see those video game books where the computer art.
Yep.
Like for the weapons at least, but I mean, not to say the rest of the book is that kind of computer generated feel to it. A lot of it is more abstract.
There's some abstract. The monsters in it are just gorgeous. Like, they're so hideous in some cases. Really, and very much like they're definitely unique takes on classic stuff like vampires and werewolves and undead and stuff like that. Just love it. Yeah, I can't wait for Yule. Yule is going to be a shit ton of fun. Okay, so Farrakis, did you make, or not Farrakis, you're not playing that character. Sean, have you landed on your talent spends?
Yes, I am. Let's see, I've got one more point to cut down, I think. I've got the talents, I got the techniques.
Nice.
I've spent 10 points. That's my issue. So I've got to cut one down.
Yep.
Already cut down intelligence bonus. I've eliminated that. So now it's between eliminating either wart cunning, resolve, or folklore.
Let me double check with wart cunning and see if you gain access to those by taking the skill points. Because if you do not, then, because I don't actually know, I can't remember offhand. So you're learning spells.
That's good caution.
To learn a wart cunning spell, Blackbird must spend a significant amount of time practicing the proper pronunciation and foci of concentration to bring about its effects. Okay, so they have to learn them. It's not like vitiations where they're granted to you. You do have to actually learn them. Let's take a look at the skill and see if it says there. Okay, where is it?
I see that it's also useful under the skill for medicines, poisons, and other substances. So that's something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like folklore. I do love the way that they organize skills in it. Like they're... Okay, let's see here. That's what it does. And it's also used to cast wart cunning spells. Okay, so you don't... Doesn't look like you start with them automatically by taking them. Last place I'll check is the character creation, because that would be the only other place. There's so much of the game that where it encourages advancement and mechanical benefit by interacting with the fiction that it just... there is an overarching structure by the way of this thing called doomings that you do and sort of setting goals for each tier, but it feels like a extremely story-heavy sandbox, right? Where it's really going to be character-driven by deciding what to go and do and pursue. And I love that. That's very, 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 very cool.
That's so too.
Okay. Here we go. Yeah, I don't see anything about the wart cutting. So I don't think, unless you have a talent technique or a boon that gives you wart cunning to start, then you would not. It would be, you would get the skill benefit from it, but you wouldn't gain access to those spells, which means the intelligence bonus and stuff like that. Or I think that's intelligence, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So then that wouldn't necessarily matter at this point.
Yeah, I guess that's the one then. We'll do that.
Okay.
Nice. Okay.
Good.
So I got that, and what was my next task?
Next task is your energy. Gary, the other thing you need to decide is your alignment.
Yeah, I found it and now I've lost it in this 700-page book.
Yeah. Okay. I have done a lot of flipping in here. I can tell you, your alignment starts on page 83. Is where it starts. And Sean, the next thing you need to do is, let's see here, you record your starting trappings, which with you, you have a dagger, a loose, ooh, look at you, high roller, a dagger, loose robes, 1 dose of quick bronze elixir, and a fragment of the Whispering Grimoire describing how to perform the Pythonic Liturgy. The Pythonic Liturgy is how you bargain with your outsider. That's how you gained access to it. And it's very... I have shown restraint thus far over the years to not run any courtroom scenes, but in this, it is actually like a kind of mini court bargaining thing that other characters can get involved with when you first decide to enter in. Like, one of the other neat things with this is when you come across other outsiders, you can bargain with them for power.
Huh. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it involves more than just the... Like, if you got a character who is charm and manipulation, you can rely on them to be your advocate in it.
Oh.
Which is to say, people are signing up for a dark fantasy stabby monster thing, and it's really going to be just a courtroom drama. Right. Only the demons are the ones who are on the other side. Oh, you also have the boon. Did you record your boon for Odd Sight? That's on page 80. You gain that boon as a following the path of Odd and Ritual.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what are you thinking of your alignment there, Gary?
I thought the sacrifice and martyrdom to go back with my backstory.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. The outcast, the betrayer, the guilty survivor, or the criminal. Something has broken this blackbird and they're trying to make it count for something. Ooh. Okay, the way that comes in. So your harmony is your inclination towards idealism. Discord is towards cynicism. This is the alignment mechanic that shows up in Vihander. At the end of a session, we roll. At the end of a, they call it a seeming. Can't remember. Weaving, not seeming. At the end of each weaving, which is a session, you roll 1d10, and then if it is equal to or so you find how much harmonious and discordant resonance you have. You subtract the lower from the higher. You roll a d10, and if you roll equal to or less than that number, then you gain a tick towards a revelation on either harmony or discord. And then at different tiers, you have an actual revelation along them, which is like an in-story, thing. You might have at Harmony 3, for instance, you might daydream about looking through a book that you saw in the past, but didn't examine too closely, only to find an entry on the artifact in the daydream. Or 3 at Discord, you might have a powerful, inexplicable sense of dread at the mention of a name of an enemy currently looking for an artifact. I guess that's framed around you looking for an artifact. So it's a cool way of emergent play, allowing for story to intrude on what's going on in the midst of pursuing your own actions. That's, again, very cool stuff. So, in your... in harmony, yeah, your penance is meaningful. So when you sacrifice 4... What is it here? And how do you gain resonance? Trying to remember that. Let's see here. You got that. Sean, once you got your alignment selected as well, then you can decide which of those options you want to select for your imp.
Oh, yes.
For the remnants.
Okay. Yes.
And then let's see here. Okay, I wonder if it's under the first section of how to play. They talk about resonance. Nope. Do not see it in there, so I need to find out where that is. So I don't know. It was I wasn't clear. Last time I ran Flames of Freedom, I didn't keep track of that either, and it is a pretty cool part of the game. So should really play it. Okay. Do you have, if you've got an image that you like for your character too, Gary, feel free to upload that. Okay. For your thing. Let's see here. I'm going to try and find the answer to that resonance question. Okay. And I think on the character sheet there might be a place to note fate points. You'll have one fate point each.
Okay.
Which is just right at the top.
Oh.
Okay, I'm trying to still find what... how you actually gain resonance in it. Okay, that's interesting. So what you do is you gain your resonance over the course of the session or the weaving. You then make your D10 roll. If you roll equal to or greater than it, you adjust the harmony and the discord track in the appropriate direction. If you roll under it, then nothing happens. You just adjust to harmony and discord track back to 0 for the session. Okay. And that's when your other things trigger. So So that's interesting. So it's more often than not, you're going to see it some progress along the harmony or discord track. Unless you're getting just like an ungodly amount of resonance throughout the session. Okay, still don't quite understand when you're awarding it though. Let's see. Conflict and rekindling. So there's some guidance in there. Sean, have you got alignment selected for your guy?
I do not.
Are any of them looking?
I was on the spell.
Oh, you're on the spell. Yeah, no problem. We've got. I don't want to distract you.
The spell one is a big project. So should I go to the?
Whichever one you want to deal with first is totally fine.
Well, you were brave because I knew magic users are tough, and I was like, oh man, I can't do that.
The spell one, I just got an idea of how big that project is, because between on page 271, it shows basically those are all sections. You get those choices that I can't find. Silence and Truth I don't see on there, by the way, Kevin. Page 271 on
Silence and Truth. Hold on.
Or not 271, 264 I guess would be.
Okay.
Or it's the right page. Let's see.
Oh, let me see.
264.
I may have let me make sure. I may have recorded the wrong two. Let me see. I'm easily distracted.
Just number 2.
Okay. So that is. Here we go. Sorry, that should be Hellatry and Phrenik, and I'll put those in here. Okay. Hellatry and Phrenik. So option 2. There you go.
All right. That project is such a beast. I think I'm going to go to. I think I will go to alignment.
Alignment, okay.
What page is that? Do you have
alignment is page. Oop. Starts on page 84. Okay, and I was checking to see about the. That's combat. It's not in there. Binding of wounds, always important. Let's see here. Crafting. Toxins, poisons, environmental hazards, love it. Suffocation. This is just getting better, guys. All sorts of lovely ways to inflict peril on you guys. Okay, let's see here. Fate Weaver, here we go. Maybe it's in the Fate Weaver section. Okay, threadings, doomings, magical answers. Okay. Still can't find any clear direction on awarding the stuff. Maybe there's a, what do you call it? Block text or sidebar that I'm missing here. Let's take a look. Okay. Not that I can see in here. Okay. Please note that the alignments are not permanent and will be assigned at the start of each of the 3 tiers of play. So you can actually shift your priorities as as the story advances.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Gary, how is your character coming together?
Good. I'm just on mid-journey, typing in some prompts. And actually, you're a lawyer. I'd love to hear your opinion on what you think the future of AI art is.
That I can't. I don't practice enough, or haven't practiced IP law for a long time, so I really can't comment on that one way or the other. Offline, I'm happy to provide some like 2 cents on it. Any comment I would have on this is certainly not advice or any kind of legal things. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think that if it's clear that they are drawing on copyrighted material to create something else, however much it goes folded through an algorithm, it's a derivative work. Derivative work, it has copyright attached to it in general, in Western countries at least, and if it means that whatever the derivative work is, you can't make use of that for your own purposes, but the person who owns the copyright that it encompasses, they can prevent you from using it. So, like if I, derivative works are things like if you incorporate a sample from another song into your song, Ice Ice Baby is an easy example, because it incorporates a piece of a Queen song. Technically what it means is that it is, while Queen cannot make free use of Ice Ice Baby, Vanilla Ice or whoever the company is that fixes, normally that stuff goes with the record label because they hire someone to arrange the stuff. But in any event, they would not be able to do anything without Queen's permission because it is an incorporated work. So I think once tech catches up with the litigious side of that stuff, and once there's actual money at play, or if a special interest, like someone who's willing to fund a lawsuit over it. Trouble is that, if there's not money to be found in there, then it's hard to get lawyers to get involved with it unless they're doing it on a pro bono basis. So, and this one would be a tricky one to work out only because of the what do you call it? The technical specifics of it. Like, I imagine there's an argument about how it's not a derivative work, that it's learning the things, but I don't know how you say that exposure to copyrighted works somehow affects how exposure to that would affect the algorithm, and then there's an eventual work that comes from that. I just feel like that is opening up a can of worms for copyright issues that lawyers who are not me will, I'm sure, be very interested in figuring out. Oh, this is neat. They change. I don't know if it's just these character sheets, but they changed the placement of the bio and info. Character sheet is the first tab now, and second tab is bio and info.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Normally it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, and again, like, this is just me talking out of my ass on this. This is not advice. It's not intended to be acted upon. If anyone has listening has any questions or concerns about this, they should consult counsel of their own. That's just what I think that it will be interesting to see what the response. I think what's going to happen is once you start seeing anything from like Disney, Marvel, or whatever else, things that they own, where there are great big deep pockets and there's a vested interest in maintaining the copyright, that's where it'll be, where someone will actually have money to finance a suit.
Well, it's interesting just because, like, I mean, all art is, in the graphic design too, is like derivative of other people's work. Like, you see it, you get inspired by it, and then where does that line kind of
It's easy to see. Like, trouble. It's easy to see when you see it, right? Like, it is a matter of judgment. But like, what people try and do who don't know copyright law or aren't familiar with the case law is that they try and say like, yeah, but where is it? You know, like there's a hard to see. Like, where does inspiration end from it? And like, at a place. The courts say at a place, and they'll know it when they see it, and that's enough. You know, like. Depictions of Mickey Mouse or Spider-Man or whatever else, there's a clear point where that is. There is going to be some parts where there's going to be a gray area, but I mean, if your AI program is designing copyrighted or trademark characters or copyrighted characters, you know,
yeah. I was thinking about that Disney and that DJ Dead Mouse.
Yeah,
that he wears that mouse head, and him and Disney were fighting it out for like a long time.
There's crazy stuff, and like it's a interesting area of law in the sense that it's so fact specific and so law specific. Like it really is a part where like the facts and the law, both of them are very complicated. But like, you know, Mattel sued a place in Canada over it was a barbecue joint and it was called Barbie's. And they sued them because Barbie's a very well known, and there's a whole separate exception made for famous brands and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't practice IP law. I don't litigate IP law, so I would not. Well, I am interested to see Legal Eagle, his YouTube channel. I'll bet you we'll deal with that at some point because he had a really good one on. Right, about 3 months or so before the market tanked, but he had a really good legal take on. What do you call it? NFTs. So I imagine that once once there is some actual case law or at least a fact pattern to point to where someone's suing somebody over it, then you'll see, you know, the legal YouTube community speak about that because he does practice in copyright law, like he does intellectual property, IP patent or patent, copyright, trademark, trade secrets. He practices those specific areas, so I'll bet you he'll have something really interesting to say about it. Okay, you got a name for your guy, Gary?
No, jeez, got carried away with the picture.
It is a good picture.
Don't sue me, whoever.
Okay. All right. So, Sean, do you have any that are out as options, or others that are leading as options for your? What do you call it?
I just finished my alignment.
Oh, did you? Okay. What's your alignment?
Going with cunning and crookedness.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
Are they rank 1? Does that count? Or is that a thing?
Which done? The alignments? No. You just leave them as for your alignments. Just leave them at. Let's see here.
0.
Yeah, leave it at 0, and then what will happen is over the course of it, you will gain. Like if you open it up, you'll see there's order. In this one, there's order and chaos. Just put its harmony and disharmony in Blackbirds. The order one will be your harmony, which would be cunning, and the chaos will be the disorder, crookedness. And then those will.
So we're good.
Sorry.
That's what I did.
Oh, did you? Okay, perfect. Yeah. And then just as this tracks resonance a little differently than what the other games do. The other games just have like one thing that goes up. Okay. But okay, so then we are down where the rubber meets the demonic pact road here. Which remnants do you wish to have access to?
I mean, I am not really close on that. I don't even. Let's see. Because my idea is to go through them enough just to get like an idea of what they're about.
Yeah.
And I got a little work to do on that. So let's see. Is there anything else we can do? Anything else that's...
This is the last thing you need to do for your character.
Okay.
If you've got your...
name, picture, besides those.
Yeah, you can get your picture, absolutely.
Yeah.
Kev, can you tell me a little bit about the land that we're going to be in, that elk?
Yeah, the way, like I said, it's basically been a place that has been at civil war for the last 10 years or so, and as part of sort of the War of Empty Thrones, and the whole, like, there's not a single part of this this kingdom that has not been touched by the armies of one side or the other, or have switched sides or whatever else. It is, while the conflicts have been going on in all of the different nations to one degree or another, this is the place where there are clear, basically where we're going to be picking up, I think, with you guys is likely having either deserted from an army or traveling from one place to another. You have no patron, you have no money, you have only what's on you, so you guys will be basically... The first and most important thing will be to find a place to sleep, to find a place to eat, stuff like that.
What about the the thematic? I was just thinking for the name. I was just trying to get a sense of the vibe.
I've been giving sort of a quasi Old English area, the names of the rulers, or Saxon kind of name, the names of the two kings in here: King Volt and Grand Duke Noels, Noielles. So anything kind of, quasi, I guess it wouldn't be Saxon, it would be, whatchamacallit, Frankish. That would be appropriate, but also, it's a fantasy setting, so if you want to put a fantasy twist on it, go nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's also what we see on this map is only a small part of the world. There is apparently much more to the world fleshed out as well. We're just going to see that in future. So, there is a whole, Florent is a whole kingdom or empire down here. It's sort of a quasi North Africa kind of situation here for Chrysius. But this
and so this map in this world, that's not in the book, is it?
It is, yeah, it's right at the back.
Okay.
It's one of those maps you got to tear out, but I think there is this map is duplicated in the book as well, right near the beginning.
For the folks at home, look at that.
Yeah,
that's nice.
It's huge.
Oh, that's in the book?
Yeah, right at the back.
So
there are also tear-out sheets for. You can tear out the character sheet in there too. I've only torn it out because I don't have a DM screen yet, so I don't have the list of skills on it.
How cool is that?
Yeah. I did turn mine out as well, so you can't see what this is. And on one side is the Carcass Nations, and then on the other side there are the two cities, High Salt and Corbel, that are the detailed in the core rulebook.
Cool.
Yeah, and the way there's a sort of barbarian backlands place called the Comhe Clanlands. Those I'm would imagine are sort of a quasi Celtic kind of thing. So that may have some influence on Elkland. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, any sort of quasi medievals type name. I think obviously fantasy kind of names like Dark Star or whatever else, that stuff's probably not appropriate for a dark fantasy setting, only because it doesn't kind of fit with the trappings, at least not for humans. But you know, you can fill your boots. I looked up and I saw Gary. I'm like, oh, you named your character Gary. That's that'll work. I mean,
Or rather uncreative.
exactly. It'll make for an interesting intro. My name's Gary. I play Gary. All right.
Let's see.
Well, you didn't go with that peasant flail. That's a pretty attractive thing. You know, we played the adventure from the quick start for Flames of Freedom last week, and they're not fucking joking about like a knife being super deadly, because that guy John was playing one of the player characters, and he ended up having to blow one of his narrative meta currencies called determination in that to not die, because this ghoul almost fucking like shivved him and cut him, you know, kind of knave to chops in it. Daggers are no joke. And it's worth noting too, the reason Sean is having a difficult making up his mind here is because there is 80 pages or so, give or take, of spells in the game. There's a huge amount of things, and the thing is, for each of the 2 remnants plus the other one, you have constant access to all of those. One of the reasons why I wanted to get everyone a copy of the physical book is because if you do play a character like this, there's not really, you can copy stuff into the character sheet if you like, but it's going to end up being take up so much space, it's just going to affect the visibility or legibility. It's easier to just flip to it in the book.
You have access to all the spells of those remnants?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
At the, what do you call it? At the imp
tier?
level. Yeah, imp tier. Because over time you can also gain access to more powerful things. You can also gain access to, once you make your selection, then you will also learn of what other techniques or talents you may have access to by your imp.
Oh, interesting.
But those are all listed in the Fate Weavers section. So that's something I really, really like, because part of the fun, at least like when I run D&D, like I really go out of the way to try and either use oddball monsters or describe them in such a way so it's not obvious what they are necessarily, because that's part of the fun, is dealing with the unknown and anticipating what stuff are. This really embraces that and tries to encourage the player. I mean, players are obviously free to do whatever they want, but it at least puts that bug in your ear of like, you know, maybe it's going to be fun to discover this in play rather than have it fed to you.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And also, like, for those who are in the know, it sort of makes them a kind of co-DM where they're going to be revealing what they know or what they can do, you know, in the course of the play, as opposed to just having like, oh, you're a wizard, I know you can do X, Y, Z.
Yeah. We should not wait on me, I don't think.
We don't have anything else to do. Like, what are you...
I'm making sure that we should, that we're not waiting on me.
No
That's
problem.
all I'm doing. Okay, good.
Gary, what is... I think, let's see here. Let's see how Gary's character's doing. Yeah, actually, because Gary has not had a chance to play this yet.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, molded by darkness. Oh, you didn't... Oh, you should really fill in the description of each of your traits, because otherwise you don't want to be looking those up. Ditto for the... Oh, hold on. Do you have... let me see here. I don't know if you got access to the PDF, because I can cut and paste those things. Let me see here. only because that will save you the having to look stuff up all the time, or looking up for like specific understandings or interpretations of the rules. Because I don't think any of your traits or techniques are filled in. Let's see here. Herrick. Okay, nice. So we got a name. So put you down here. Herrick. Now, are there any things? Let's see here. It's an unrelated thing, Gary, that I saw your... this, I think it was last week is when DeviantArt tried to push through a thing saying that whatever they've got some kind of arrangement with some AI art generator, and they tried pushing through a change where you had to opt out of it, and people just went apeshit and were like deleting their accounts and stuff like that, and they made a change within a day to make it you have to opt in to take part in the AI tool set. So it is definitely something that people are art collectives. I don't think that I can't remember what the other one's called. Because there's another one that's kind of taken over for what DeviantArt used to be as more of a resource, and I can't remember what it's called. But I don't think they have similarly. It's weird because DeviantArt used to intentionally, it would let you know if it was if a piece of art was generated that incorporated your stuff, and then they just stopped doing that for some reason. I'm going to guess money. But let me see here.
Is that ArtStation that you're thinking of?
ArtStation is the other one I'm thinking of. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, Herrick, we got that. Let's see here. And how are we doing for... Yeah, so you just need to fill in or cut and paste your traits in there so you can have easy access to them.
Yeah, I'm going to have to retype those.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm not particularly good at.
Okay, hold on. Matt's on Team Gary, if it helps. He was on board for calling him Gary. Gary, I'm playing Gary.
Well, I was tempted to go Garrick, but then I thought that's a little too on the nose.
That's pretty great. I think I've put myself into, I think, 2 for sure, maybe 3 sessions in every time I've been a villain. So I don't know what that says about my self-reflection, but
Your outlet.
Yeah. Every time. The lesson was players can't trust RPG NPC Kev. He is not to be trusted. You said you were thinking, Sean, of going more of a martial character, or was that with your next character?
Yeah, next character.
What are you thinking in this guy? What kind of vitiation, what kind of powers are you thinking that you want to be able to work in general?
Probably more subtle, conniving, ish.
Okay. Do you see him doing any raising of the dead stuff?
I haven't gotten there yet, but I thought I'd glance through it and see how it hit me.
Okay. So then what I can tell you is option 4 off the table. That's probably, if you're not playing a martial character, bestial power is really more of a thing. So that one's right out.
I was thinking that too. The bestial power is kind of a giveaway there.
Yeah. Deceit. If it's deceit and esoteria, those ones are more knowledge focus or deception. So if you're thinking of being more of a tricky criminal kind of stuff, that's where those would play in. Illusion and deceit, I think you can kind of guess how that combo would play together. Impossibility allows the bending of space and time. That's what a lot of those vitiations relate to. So it'd be illusion and warping space for option 6. And then a chimera. What does chimera do? Oh yeah, it's the one that it's warping flesh. So warping flesh and the undead is option 3.
Interesting.
Definitely the answer you want to have. I should mention patrons as well. Almost with unless there is very, very rare exceptions, patrons absolutely will not work with spellcasters. If you are known to be a spellcaster, they will not work with you. You are open spellcasters in the setting who don't use wart cunning are actively persecuted. So you will want to be either powerful enough to intimidate people or make sure that you're not using in front of patrons.
Okay.
This is not like a setting. It's not like a setting where magic is relied upon and welcomed or whatnot. This may have. You can feel free to blame the oligarchs for this, because when a bunch of spellcasters the theurges storm heaven and kill the gods, which is sometimes not. It's not necessarily open knowledge that that's what happened, but people know that with the outsiders and whatnot and the changes that have come over the last 2 years, spellcasters are most definitely not to be trusted.
All right. Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure things will be good with the one demon encouraging you to do things to pay off your tithe and everyone else wanting to hunt you on top of that. It's going to make for a great...
It'll be fine.
Oh, that's great stuff. Okay, let's see here. Yep, someone's honking outside.
And did you get the impression that spells, do they cost tithe?
Sorry? Yes.
Do spells cost
yeah, when you use
tithe?
vitiations, depending on your level of connection to the character, like right, you start having a level of rapport with them, and the way that tithe works, if you have rapport, it costs you 2 tithe every time you cast an imp vitiation. If you have communion with them, it only costs 1, but then you automatically get 1 tithe per day at that level. So the expectation you're going to use more by paying kind of a tithe or a flat fee kind of up front.
And when at what scale, at what scope do you make that choice? Do you make that choice at CareGen or at every day? No.
When every time is your own thing. You decide what. Well, I mean, the rapport. Right now you're at CareGen. You only have rapport with an imp.
I see.
So that means what you can over the course of play is you can try and increase that to a communion. That's where you're using that Pythonic liturgy, trying to improve that.
Okay.
At communion, it's a more, and then like the next level of that is a pact. And then there's also, so there's 3 levels of kind of agreement with them. At rapport, you gain 2 tithe per vitiation. At communion, this is with an imp, you gain 1 tithe per vitiation, and you gain, I think it's 1 per day. With a pact, it's one tithe at communion, and at pact, 1 tithe each time the sun sets. So the greater your bond, the greater your connection, the less of a tithe they have, but I'm sure there's downsides.
Right. Since my guy's probably not going to be mundanely combat-y, I'm also this is good because I'm seeing that some give you some pretty decent bread and butter combat abilities, so I can rely on that for a combat, not just one round, but you're pretty good with a couple of these.
Like a lot of these things, it depends on the level, but I mean your willpower bonus is the thing that factors in there, and I think you've got a 5 already, right? For willpower bonus? Yeah.
Solid on that, yeah.
So it's like 6 rounds of duration for most stuff. And then just like in Zweihander or Flames, you can also choose to try and gain bonuses to it. So you can gain a plus 10% for each D6 of that you're going to put into the Odic pool. Or is it Odic pool or the what's it called?
Oh, I wondered about that.
Yeah. So the way it works is the tithe.
What are the thirds transforms themselves and their companions into I've struggled with this before. Ichthyic? Ichthyic sound right?
Well, which one?
Ichthyic monstrosities to travel beneath the waves for an extended time.
Ichthyic, yeah.
Ichthyic, yeah, Ichthyic.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So the way that Ottawa, so what it is just like in the others, every point you add, every dice you add to the Odic pool adds plus 10 to the roll, and then at the end of it, you roll the d6s. If a 6 comes up on any of them, there's an Odic manifestation, and it depends on the ability, it depends on the circumstances, but like that Odic pool stays.
Yeah.
So like it gets increasingly, because it's not the dice you rolled, it's the Odic pool that gets rolled. It can be very interesting. Like it's a, but you also have, remember, like fortune points to re-roll dice, so it's not like you're completely at the it's not like some of the more unforgiving like psychics in, say, Only War. Like there's a shelf life for those characters. These ones, not only like do you just have to have access to a fortune, which is a shared resource. It also gets, like, when I spend the misfortune dice, or coins, they become fortune. So it's, you should have a way of at least trying to blunt that stuff.
Yeah, there's techniques too that.
Oh, to try and mitigate that stuff.
Yeah, there's like one that's spot on. Like it's all about that. If you wanted that one, it's there. I don't think I took it, but it is there.
That's a spirit.
Yeah. Too many choices.
Okay, let's see here. Okay. Let's see here.
Ooh.
Okay. Then, let's see here. I'm not sure if that helps you with your narrowing down.
A little bit.
Yeah, like if you want to be more capable in combat like that, Chimera and the Necromancy definitely would be quite helpful for that. Illusion, less so.
Yeah, the Helotry has got some combat possibilities I've discovered.
Yeah. So you're leaning towards Chimera and Necromancy?
I'm investigating at the moment Helotry and Phrenic.
Yeah. Phrenic, I think, is that the one that's the like oh no, I thought it
it's looking a little intriguing because I'm seeing that Helotry has got at least a couple of nice combat spells, vitiations. And Phrenic, at least that first one, looks a little deception-y, which is good, which is interesting. Intriguing.
Yeah, jeez. So Caress of the Puppeteer, that's fucked up. Torn apart by invisible hands.
Right, and it lasts for rounds, so that's a nice bread and butter. I really, going up with a dagger, that's not my thing. That's just not going to work out for me. So I need to have a good bread and butter, vitiation to fall back on.
Most definitely, yeah. Yep.
And then the second one of Helotry is kind of cool. You place, I don't know what this. Let's see.
Eidolon.
Eidolon, sure, yeah. The third place is an Eidolon.
Funny story. So there's been, since I was a kid, there's a city called Eidolon. I thought it was Eidolon, and it wasn't until I listened to a book on tape. It was one of the what do you call it? Something of the New Sun trilogy, and they're talking about something, and they say Eidolon, and I was like, is that how you say that word? Because I've been saying it wrong for 30 years. Holy smokes.
That's funny. I'll go with it. That's certainly good to me. But you place an Eidolon. Do you know what it is? So next,
I'm just looking at it right now. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So places an Eidolon into a container so that it may possess someone for them. That's intriguing.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Oh, summon. So you have to summon it. That's a clue. You have to summon an Eidolon.
Oh, and I think I've got a picture of an Eidolon. I don't know if I got it loaded in here, but Eidolon, if it's the one I think, it's one of my favorite illustrations in here too. It's so evil. Okay. Yes. It is. Page 588. So this is the illustration of the Eidolon. Let me hold it up here. There we go. That fleshy monster with the tendrils going into the lady.
Yeah. Well, with that picture in mind, the person closest to the container when it's opened or broken will be attacked by the Eidolon as it attempts to possess them. Pretty sweet.
Oh man, I know he's in. Well, I know he's in Scotland right now, so he's going to be asleep. But I feel like George is going to be really enjoying some of these spells.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of room, obviously, for there's also, for you'd have different mages, different magic users.
Oh, 100%. They'd all feel very different. And wait till you find out the difference between the different imps is also quite different. So there's different requirements they have, different personalities, different techniques and whatnot that you have access to. Like there's the book is the size it is because of the amount of amazing options you get for play. It's really great stuff. So what are you thinking? It does seem like you're narrowing it down at least to option 2 or option 3.
I think so. I mean, what happens is I get excited once I'm reading it, but then I see another one and I'm like, ooh.
So what we need to figure out is for this particular dude, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
And I think that, they're such different abilities. The necromancy would be the big thing, I think. Like, do you see him being a necromancer and like summoning undead shit and trucking with undead spirits, the children of Helios, or do you see him as not? Because a grave robin type character is, and then like both are completely viable characters. That seems to me like the one that is probably an easy way to distinguish whether it's a right fit for your character or not.
Yes. Let's see here. Let me just take a little peek at a necromancy spell for kicks. Okay. Yeah.
I like how each of the individual spells has its own critical success, critical failure, sublime success, sublime failure too. Very cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's like DCC does that with their spells. There's individual things. I actually haven't run DCC yet, but I know that's one of the things that makes the game feel very different from other old school games. Spellcasting is risky and flavorful. Kind of like buying street meat.
Yeah, they're cool. I'm probably not a necromancer, but there's some cool, like the homunculus.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty sweet.
So are we thinking option 2 then? Remnants of Helotry and Phrynic?
So number 1, first.
Deceit and Esoteria?
The most likely at the moment is Helotry and Phrynic. I'm still looking. I have not taken a peek at, I guess, Esoteria's knowledge. I'm going to take a quick Esoteria.
I'm surprised you haven't run DCC, Kevin.
It's just to be honest, like that aspect is one of the things where it didn't appeal to me, and the dice, the gimmick dice, like I get like those are the things that appeal to it. I will say that like I picked up some stuff from Goodman Games, and I posted about it online, and like the Goodman Games community seems super fucking cool. Really nice people I heard back from. They seem really cool. I don't know why. I don't know why. It just didn't. Part also the funnel, like running a funnel, doesn't appeal to me in the least. It's just not the kind of, old school game I really enjoy running anyway. Again, I hear it's a lot of fun. It's just that's great, and to each his own. It's just not something that appealed to me. So because of those things, and because I got so many other old school games that I had on deck, I just had when there was an option like Ash would go before that, or D&D or old school D&D would go before that. I'm trying to think what the other ones. We ran, what do you call it? Red Tide, I think it's called. Scarlet Heroes. The Kevin Crawford old school game.
Yeah. I've tried to get him on my channel for an interview, but I think he likes his,
anonymity. Yeah.
Anonymity.
Well, I mean, the amount of product he cranks out. I just got the notification, the Atlas of, what is it called? After Earth or something like that. Whatever there's a supplement that's coming out for Endless Worlds, I think it's called. Whatever the fantasy or science fantasy book that came out after Stars Without Number, Worlds Without Number, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an atlas coming out for that, and I just saw that the Kickstarter closed within the last 6 months, and he's already shipping. So he cranks stuff out really, really quickly.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted him on the show, because he's so precise in what he does and so professional that I just.
Well, he does all his writing in InDesign as well, which is really interesting. So he's writing with thinking how it's going to be laid out in the. In the final product afterwards, so it's an interesting thing. I read that at least. I don't think he's particularly active online either, like in social media. Like he sort of shows up when he's got a Kickstarter to run and then disappears once again. Yeah. So not good on him, certainly isn't lacking for stuff or for product. Yeah.
I've eliminated. What was I just going to hear? Oh, Deceit and Esoteria.
Okay.
There's a cool one. I like the where you can devour books and manuscripts by eating them.
Yeah.
It's fun. Oh, yeah.
So what are we thinking then? Is it option 3? Or you said not to think so.
Option 3 is out.
Option 3 is out.
Option 1 is out.
So
option 4 is out.
Yeah.
So 1, 3, and 4 are out. I am currently quickly scanning illusion. Okay, doesn't seem. Option 6 doesn't look likely. Kind of just a little bit. Got to check Impossibility.
Impossibility is the moving across space and time stuff as well.
Oh, wow. That's got to be interesting.
It's always a good response.
The recipient gains the ability to fly at their normal movement, and that's only one of a bunch under imp, all under imp. That's a potent vitiation right there. And at the end of the vitiation, all recipients suffer peril because it's I guess unnatural, something to this effect.
Yeah.
Oof, that's an impressive vitiation, at least. Let's see. Okay, we'll eliminate that. We'll eliminate 6.
Okay, so Impossibility out. So then Illusion and Deceit and options 5 and 2, I think, are the only 2 ones left.
Agreed.
So Deceit you looked at, and Illusion?
I don't know. Did I look at let's see, I think I looked at Deceit. Quick, let's see.
They're all actually in the same section. They're all Mask of something or other.
Yes. I'm gonna take a quick. It's better and better, but I haven't looked at anything in Frenic. I'm gonna get. I have a good feeling about it.
I like that they have the clear language description of what the spell does at the top as well.
Yes.
Super helpful with a big long spell list like this.
Initially, I was making the mistake of getting into the guts, which is way too time consuming.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Herrick, how are we looking here? Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Quick question for you. On the Prowler technique,
Yep.
It says I get plus 10 stealth, and is that on permanent basis?
Yes, as long as you have it slotted, then yeah. What you would do is once you finish editing, you can close the edit and then just the little triangle on the left side. You click that and open it. That's how we've been indicating which thing's been slotted. So, for instance, you could go boom like that. That your lightning reflexes is slotted.
Okay.
And technique Prowler, boom. So that's how you would indicate those two are slotted. If you decided to slot the weapon technique instead, you would just close Prowler, open Bullwhip, and then that's slotted instead. That makes sense?
And so slotted meaning it actually goes into my roll?
Yeah, because if you have, picture it like if there was, if you're playing in person, you'd have a character sheet down, you'd have two little places where you can put cards down. One of them says talent, one of them says technique. You can only have one in each of them. So you would, if you're playing in person, in your talent slot, you'd have lightning reflexes, so you get the benefit of that as long as it's slotted. And then on the other side, you would place either the weapon technique for Bullwhip or the technique for Prowler. Because we can't play in person like that, what we're doing instead is just having open whatever one you've got slotted.
Oh, okay.
And then if you extinguish it, what that means is that until you rekindle, that slot remains unusable. Okay. And then once you reach tier 2, you then have 2 talent slots and 2 technique slots. So you can select 2. You can still learn as many as you have RP to learn, but you can only have a certain number of slots open. And you can't slot a technique in a talent. You can't slot a talent in a technique. So you're forced to pick which one of those you want to have in. But if you have Prowler slotted until it's unslotted, you gain that benefit of plus 10 to stealth.
Okay. And mechanically, as far as roll 20 goes, should I just add that in, roll the normal?
Yeah. What you can do is we can actually set it so we can determine when it's going to query you for things. So if you go to the settings tab, I've already opened it for you, but I can do query difficult rating, query other modifiers, and then we close. Now go ahead on your main page and click on stealth. And what should happen is it'll prompt you for what the difficulty is, and let's say it's 0, and then it'll prompt you for a modifier and just put 10 in. Remember, if you put a plus sign in any roll 20 sheet, it'll break its brain. But then it should roll that at plus 10. Beauty. Now that's a failure, but it's
okay. Cool.
But yeah, that's it. And then if you don't need to modify something, what you can do as well. Let me just check something here. Yeah, there's nothing else from there. What you can do is go to the settings at the top right and just turn off the other modifiers. What we ended up doing, because we didn't want to have constantly 2 things prompting, is we just, as long as the modifier is less than, I think, 30, or less than 40, then you can just adjust take into account the number, the modifier from that first one, from the difficulty.
Okay. Cool. I'm learning roll 20 finally.
Okay. Nice. Well, this is specific to this sheet. This is something that it does, but it is quite helpful. Now, if you got all that stuff in there, let me quickly take a look at your combat. Do you have your weapons aren't in here, so let's add your weapons in. So, if you go to your, I think the weapons, let's see here, are on, I've got them marked. They're on page 223. You can add in everything here. So put your weapon name, like Bullwhip, and then there's a drop-down menu for what you add. It'll tell you what damage you use for it.
Okay.
So Bullwhip uses combat bonus. And then you put down what type. What I would do is whatever skill that you've set up as your melee one, whether it's simple melee or martial melee, just make sure that's the one that is listed here so it adds the appropriate bonus.
Okay.
And then, yeah, otherwise you can fill in the qualities. I think the Fury Dice thing, you can ignore that, because I don't think any of these get to roll. They don't explode on multiple faces. Black Powder does in Zweihander and Flames of Freedom, but there's no guns in this setting. So, again, then just fill that in for each of your three, your staff, your shiv, and your bullwhip.
Okay.
That bullwhip technique is super cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And Sean, how are we doing have you decided who to sell your soul to?
It's definitely 2 or 6. So I think it's I'm going to go with.
Did you say or 6? Oh, because of impossibility.
Yes. Yep. Its impossibility is impressive, and I find Hellatry impressive. So I am just debating on the challenge. Making dream sunset.
So which will it be? I will say as well, you're not necessarily stuck with one. You can make bargains with imps from other courts. The difficulty may be they may be at cross purposes if their courts, if that particular imp has an issue with another one of the courts.
Gotcha. And that would be in game.
Yes, in game.
Gotcha. Not a like an experience point thing.
No. There is an option for starting with a second one, but like I said, we'll start with one. That's enough to manage to get for a first character.
Yep.
Because you don't want to be like suffering from analysis paralysis every time it comes to your turn. You're trying to figure out what spell you want to use. Better to get to know the ones that you've got from the one, and then because even with the one, there's usually like 10 options you've got between the 2 remnants plus the what do you call it? The common ones as well. Common remnant.
I think I am going to. I will take. Struggling. Let's just go with Hellatry. I'll go with the number 2.
Number 2, okay. So, you're under... Now, spellcasting is going to be a little different here. Because it's... What do you call it? I don't think... for one, there's different... skill is listed in this sheet, and then there's not like spells you learn. But if you go to magic, let's see what we can fill in here. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, and remember to add your talent from the school or the things. All right, so
You meant the odd site, right? Is that what you're referring to?
No. I thought you were taking that thing that gives you a specialty for a certain court. There's a talent.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So yours is the Court of Joy.
Court of Joy. All right.
Your imp is, I'm just going, rather than creating our own, we'll go with the one from the book to see how that goes. Your imp is named Tabernacle, the Unwanted Child. Tabernacle is a small, malformed imp composed of unborn fetal parts. An amalgamation of unwanted births, it has an infant bird's wing for a left arm, a human head and right arm and torso, shark teeth, fetal pig feet, and a bulbous fly eye. It sits atop a gilded altar of burning incense to mask the stench of putrescent amniotic fluid. Tabernacle's voice is squeaky and flirtatious. So look forward to that. Oh my gosh. Here is a picture of Tabernacle.
Wow.
Yep. He is a cutie.
Yeah.
Okay. That's squeaky and flirtatious.
I expect you to practice that.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. All right. So that's who you have. You can put down that the Court of Joy. He grants you access to Helitry and Frenic as the remnants.
Yeah.
And then I will share with you what techniques. It's actually, you know what? You don't gain access. Oh, you have rapport. Let me just double check. I want to see if. I don't think you automatically get the technique. I think you have to learn it. But let me just make sure I'm not reading that wrong. Okay. That is something I think is super cool too. That's just a neat way of adding a little bit of extra player incentive to maybe I'll take that again too. Okay, let's see here. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so I think actually you might gain access to this automatically.
Access to those two.
Yeah, because it shows once you have, you gain access to your vitiations, and it says once, in addition, the theurge gains access to the communion level. Oh. I think you gain access to it, which means you can purchase it. Let's just double check that. Okay. I can't remember if, let's see here. So by having a rapport, you enter into the very loosest of agreements, really more a tenuous relationship than any sort of formal deal. Each use of vitiation from this outsider increases the tithe by blah, blah, blah. In addition, you gain access to the communion level of outsider technique offered by this outsider. Let's see here. It's not clear to me if you get... I'll have to look that up. I don't remember. If you do, I'll send you what it is.
Meaning, if I get access to both, kind of
if
thing
you
right
get if you get access to the technique right away, then I'll add that.
Helotry and Phoenix, right?
No. It's actually it's the techniques are you automatically get access to those spells or vitiations. It's that each outsider has different techniques that you also have access to. I just don't know whether you have to purchase them or whether you automatically get access to it as at that level.
Oh, meaning it might be free.
Yeah, meaning like as part of your one of the upsides to your awful, binding. Let's see, preparation. Yeah, let's see. Temporary deals, leverage. Oh, here we go. Outsider techniques are abilities that theurges have access to that are slotted during rekindlings. They work like other techniques. Yep, automatic. Pretty awesome. Okay, so let me tell you what you also gain from your, as a technique from your binding with Tabernacle. Squeaky and flirtatious. So Tabernacle's rapport technique. Here's the 3 things you gain access to. When it's slotted, you have a passive bonus. The Theurg tastes some bodily fluid that was directly connected with an act and immediately knows the names of all parties involved. So you can... The wide variety of bodily fluids that can result from different actions, you can sample them and know where it came from. The second thing you get, this one costs you, it's a non-combat action and increases your tithe by 1. The Theurg must engage in an activity with another person that much of society would consider a vice. This label is subjective, so the Fate Weaver's ruling is final. They might sit at a gambling table together or visit the same brothel. All fellowship-based tests made for the Theurg to interact with that person thereafter are flipped to succeed. This lasts until the sun sets and rises again. And then the final one is Lure of Sin. This is a 2 AP extinguish action. Also increases your tithe by 1. The Theurg chooses a target and something or someone in their vicinity that both of them can see. The target perceives their heart's desire in the object or person chosen and will do everything they can to get closer to it or them, taking only movement actions to get closer and attacking anyone who attempts to stop them. Once the target reaches the object of their desire and touches it or them, the magic ends.
And I can choose what they're lured to?
Yep, you choose the target and choose something or someone in their vicinity that you can both see.
Interesting.
Okay, so that is one of the benefits of pacting with Tabernacle. And things get even better. You get a communion technique if you improve it to a communion, and the tithe accumulated with your vitiations goes down. Okay, so I'll add that in as a, what do you call it, as a technique for you.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you can choose whether to slot that or your whatever other thing. So your talent then should be the one relating to Court of Joy.
The Benediction of Joy, I think it is, or something like that.
Okay.
But I still pay for that, right? You didn't determine I get that automatically?
You get the technique automatically. Yeah, the rapport technique you get automatically. So it's a free one.
Those 3. Now, when you say the rapport technique, that means those 3 abilities you just named.
Exactly. That's your. So then, what you do is like whatever. Let's go to your main one for a second here. What is your other technique?
I haven't put them all. I got the benediction of joy as the talent. The techniques are barrister of the odd and shades of heresy.
Oh, nice. So you'll have 3 to choose from for when you're choosing when you're slotting your techniques.
So okay, I got you. So that rapport technique is one technique with those 3 effects.
Exactly. It's just like the other ones. You'll slot it in, and then when it's slotted, you'll have access to all 3 of them.
Cool.
Okay. And then I think let's just look under combat. Did you add your dagger in there already?
No, it's under trappings, but not combat yet. So I got some work to do on the character sheet as far as. So you
got to add that. And you got to add an illustration for your fella as well.
And a name.
And a name, yeah. Do you have a name in mind for this?
I've been busy, Kevin. Busy.
So that has, and you have it. I mean, there's a lot, especially for a spellcaster. You know, like there's a lot of stuff to weigh over and select from it.
Yeah.
And so that kind of brings us to the end. Then you got some stuff to top on there. So your character. Let's last talk about how we think these characters fell in together. How do you think these fellows ended up?
So, what are you, Herrick? What is your You're sneaky, right? You're a roguish?
Yeah, not by choice, out of necessity. I've done some bad stuff in my time just because of that, but so I have a certain amount of guilt, but not a bad person in general.
Because your two are the archetype, or the alignment is supposed to kind of inform what you're going to be. You know, that the personal tensions your characters will be going through over the course of your first tier's adventures. Yours was cunning, and what was the other one?
Crookedness.
Yeah. So what's the tension between cunning and? Do you guys think you came from a same? Did you know each other before? Before the becoming fated, becoming Blackbirds. Blackbirds isn't an in-universe term. It's just a concept.
Yeah.
What it is, you guys would be sharing. Potentially, you were sharing dreams. Potentially, you were, you saw one another in dreams. If you did not know each other before, or you could have known each other, and the fragments of fate could have lodged themselves within your destiny by virtue of your proximity to one another.
And your current, what are you, Herrick? Are you and Kevin? Did you say how we're going to start when the scene starts? We'll have just
leaving very similar to the last one. You guys are leaving some last thing, trying to make your way either home or to see someone or whatever. Mm-hmm. You're at least the likely setup for the first session or so is going to be. I'd like them to all be very Conan-esque, where it's like something shitty just happened, or something else, or you're finding yourself about to be thrown into circumstances. What we know from your trappings is you're broke, you have no friends of significance, and you likely have some shared vision of what is to come.
Would it make any sense for us both to have been incarcerated and just got released? Something ish.
What if you guys were held as bandits or something like that, and then that army ended up getting attacked, and in the fracas and the chaos of that, you guys made your escape?
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's an outrage we were ever held.
I mean, we're just trying to steal stuff. Like, come on.
I mean, it's Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, then, so that's it. So, guys, any thoughts, comments on character creation in Blackbirds? First time we've done an actual on-stream character gen for this game.
It's good. It's very detailed. Like I'm kind of impressed with the depth and the options that you have, and I can see the character generation being just like a fun thing to do on your own.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm remembering that it's punishment for me, and it's that doing it like in this mode, combined with the magic user is just like it kind of conflicts. I mean, I don't know. Maybe others do it differently, but I kind of want to get in there a little bit. So I think short of the magic user be fine, but the magic user just piles it on, as far as information.
Yeah, and for a first time as well, too. Like you're gonna, over the course of playing, you would get to know more about what selections and whatnot. But for a first time, yeah, definitely. But I mean, you did do it though, right? Like there was. Yeah. And that says something, because I know that, like, and again, like I joke about it, but I mean, like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being deliberative in making your character. Like, if you want to weigh your options and whatnot too, you were able to get through that and get a character who could do some cool stuff and have cool options in spite of the sort of arbitrary 4-hour limit we put on it.
Yeah.
So it's I think
much braver than me.
So. Awesome. Well then, so for those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for this character creation for a small flock of blackbirds. We will be seeing, potentially both of these characters in the Blackbirds of Yule event coming at the end of December. Again, it'll be December 21st. Not every day, but between December 21st and January 1st is when we'll be playing our Blackbirds of Yule events, and we'll see. We'll have more information about that on the channel as we go. But it's pretty cool. Although now I've sort of, you guys, we'll see how things go if other people have the time to do it. But you guys may be the only ones who actually get to create their own characters. If the others don't have time, they may be stuck with pre-gens. So there you go. So at the very least, you got to put your stamp on your character, and I get to prepare a broadcast, appropriate, squeaky and seductive voice. So I'm sure Anna will love that.
That'll be beautiful. Well, you'll already have some experience by the time I get a chance, because I'm out of town until the end of the
Well, I mean, the others, each imp is different. Each court has a different imp in the core rulebook, and then we can also change them up as well. And at the level you're at rapport, it's not a exclusive thing. So other blackbirds could bargain with the same one, and then as you increase the level of connection with them, that's where it becomes more of a individual thing. But
relationship.
Yeah. A little inter-party conflict as you're trying to each curry favor with your demonic benefactor. So
nice.
Yep. All right, then. So for those listening at home, as is always the case, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the character creation session or the game or the upcoming Blackbirds of Yule event, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section down below, or you can also find a link in the description of this video to the Dungeon Musings Discord server. We have I don't think we've been talking about Blackbirds in the Assorted Games channel, so you can find it. We don't have a Blackbirds channel yet. But if you have any questions about that there, you can also head on over there. All of us are active on that channel or on the Discord server, and you can find, in addition to the Assorted Games channel, a bunch of other great channels like Finding a Group, like online convention convention information in general, DM advice. There's a ton of great people over there, a ton of great conversation. You are more than welcome to join us over there. In addition, there's a link down below to something called Heroes Save Villages. That's the charity fundraising campaign that we run on the channel. All donations that go through that link go directly to SOS Children's Villages International, a really terrific organization active in over 130 countries, benefiting over 80,000 orphan and abandoned children, including ongoing relief efforts in Ukraine and the surrounding countries, at the time of recording at least. And as a small way of saying thank you, we have two ways. One is in December, we'll be having our next charity raffle. And for every $25 Canadian that you donate through that link, you'll get one chance to win the grand prize or one of the other great prizes in our next charity raffle. If you want to see the prizes that were given away last time, head on over to the Charity Initiatives channel on the Dungeon Musings Discord server. And you can find all the prizes that were given away. And while you're over there, if you have made a donation since June 15, 2022, go ahead and cast a vote for the next charity session, which will be at the end of the month. We are returning to an old channel favorite, which is Modifius Entertainment's Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of. We've had voters thus far select the pirate theme, so we're playing a The Pirate session. and it looks like voting is leaning in favor of the Stygian coast. So it'll be an adventure set around the Stygian coast. There is one more element of the adventure that we need donors to vote on, and then we'll be running the session at the end of the month on, I think it's November 26th. It's 26th or 28th. I can't remember what the Saturday is, but one of those two. And then, yeah, we'll be having the actual session with some returning, well, a lot of people who are returning Conan favorites. So not only do you get a chance to vote on what we're playing on the channel, you also get a chance to win some cool gaming stuff, and most importantly, a chance to help some kids who really could use some help. The last thing I will say is a huge thank you to our two stalwart players here. So, Sean and Gary, a.k.a. Herrick, a.k.a. Gary. Thank you so much for taking the dive in, guys. This was literally the last second that we had to swap over to this, so I do appreciate you guys diving in, and I hope you enjoyed putting together your first Blackbirds.
That was great. Thanks for walking me through.
Then, for those listening at home, we'll be back in our a Cold Fire Within campaign in 2 weeks' time. Hopefully no one's sick, no one's out of town at that point, so we'll be able to carry on with it. Until then, gosh, I've completely lost myself in our outro already. You can tell it's Friday. Until then, we hope that we gave you a few hours to take your mind off of the troubles of our world and see the these stalwart and brave Blackbirds who are taking shape and taking up arms in the Carcass nations against the oligarchs. And until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.